Among them, a strange door appears, leading to another world, along with a series of notifications explaining its purpose. Yuya also finds a note revealing that the previous owner was a great sage who left the house and all its treasures to whoever found it. Using a hidden language skill, Yuya deciphers the note. He learns that the house is protected by magic and that he now owns everything inside, including an arsenal of god-tier weapons. Curious, he steps outside to test them. He stumbles, falls, and gradually learns basic sword skills. Motivated, he trains diligently with every weapon, gaining skills and leveling up, even though his stats remain at level 1. Suddenly, a level 300 ogre attacks. Yuya panics at first, but the house's magic protects him. He grabs a spear and defeats the monster effortlessly, gaining loot, leveling up, and discovering he can even convert drops into cash. The next day, he wakes transformed, tries on new clothes from the sage's magical wardrobe, and calmly handles another attack. Time passes quickly, and high school begins. Everyone notices him immediately, even his siblings. The old bullies approach, not recognizing him at first. When he tells them his name, they are shocked. Later, he sees his reflection for the first time since his transformation, and is stunned. Then Kaori, the girl he saved, appears in a limo. She invites him to join Joseé Academy, an elite school her father runs. Yuya feels unworthy, but Kaori refuses his siblings' attempts to join. She praises him for his bravery and explains that the school values character as much as academics. At the academy, he meets Chairman Tsukasa, who thanks him for saving Kaori and even offers to pay his tuition. Yuya hesitates, believing only geniuses succeed, but Tsukasa reassures him that talent comes from hard work, having fun, and discovering oneself. Finally, Yuya enters his first class, nervous yet curious. The students are surprised, not by his abilities, but by his good looks. Sharing a book with a distant girl, he worries about her opinion. But overall, he finds the class surprisingly normal, with everyone more engaged than he expected. During the break, students approached Yuya, curious if he was some kind of idol or had a girlfriend. Before it got out of hand, Ryo stepped in and guided him to the cafeteria. Yuya was amazed, not only by the free food, but also by how massive the menu was. They joined Shingo at a table and started talking about anime, quickly realizing they shared the same tastes. Yuya noticed people staring, realizing it was probably his unique uniform. They chatted about clubs, with Shingo explaining he was part of the gaming club, where they could even use consoles as long as it didn't disrupt class. Talking about video games helped Yuya relax and feel a little more at ease with his new acquaintances. At the end of the day, he met Tsukasa and admitted he had enjoyed himself. Yuya decided to join the school, and as he left, he ran into Kaori. She smiled when he told her, happy that he was staying. She invited him to hang out after school, so they explored a popular shopping area. Yuya wondered if this was her usual hangout, but Kaori explained that people often avoided her because of her family. Still, she said he was different, making Yuya a little nervous. She suggested checking out a crepe shop, and looking at the prices, Yuya was grateful for the money he had earned in the other world. They enjoyed the crepes together, and when Yuya hesitated to try more for fear of reverting to his original shape, he asked her how she recognized him. Kaori laughed, saying his eyes hadn't changed. She offered him a bite of her crepe, and after a slightly embarrassed moment, he reciprocated. Nearby girls watched, thinking they were adorable together. Later that night, Yuya returned to the other world, fully armored. Though fear lingered, he fought off monsters, reaching level 235. The leveling had slowed though, and he thought about forming a party for stronger foes, inspired by his time at the academy. Suddenly, he heard a scream and rushed toward it, finding soldiers killed and a level 200 goblin general. He threw his spear, which deflected, but a powerful foot strike quickly ended the fight. A girl stood behind the goblin, and another goblin approached. Yuya fought with precision, combining weapons and skills like a well-rehearsed symphony. Even though the enemy was strong and fast, Yuya's willpower turned the tide. After defeating the goblins, the girl fainted. Activating an invisibility skill, he avoided approaching men. They revealed the girl was Princess Lexia, hinting at the complex world he had entered. Back home, Yuya worried briefly about her but assumed the knights would help. Looking at his shirt, he realized he could buy new clothes with his in-world earnings. The next day, Yuya wandered through the streets, turning heads. People whispered, thinking he was an actor or model. His shirt stayed clean thanks to a magical spell, but he decided it was time to expand his wardrobe. Meanwhile, in a parallel world, a director's yelling could have powered a wind turbine, and show's manager regretted not having earplugs. The director needed a replacement for a delayed photo shoot, and Yuya ended up being asked. Nervous at first, he agreed, remembering all the people counting on him. Yuya acted as a boyfriend for the shoot, changing outfits and posing under direction. The director told him to look sexier, which was awkward, but Miu reassured him, thanking him for saving them. Yuya noticed her getting closer during shots, making him flustered. He tried his best, but the director encouraged even closer contact, leading to some embarrassing moments that onlookers noticed. Meanwhile, Princess Lexia planned her return to thank her savior, despite her knight's warnings. She insisted on taking loyal knights with her into the dark forest. As the photoshoot wrapped, Yuya was exhausted, and Miu's gratitude led to a comic misunderstanding, showing how even small moments could spiral hilariously. Miu offered Yuya her handkerchief, but he hesitated. He was sweaty, and he couldn't use his sleeve either since the clothes weren't his. He thought about his modeling experience and how impressive Miu was at it. She laughed, saying she had just gotten used to it after making tons of mistakes when she was still male. Yuya's mind wandered to Lexia, imagining her first time in stylish clothes, since he never had that chance in his past. He wondered why Miu started modeling. She explained that she just wanted attention at first, since her parents were always too busy. But once fans started cheering for her, she realized she liked making people happy. She told him he could do it too, at his own pace, and reminded him to enjoy every moment. The director snapped candid photos as the show suddenly appeared, and the crowd got excited to see him. Yuya went to Miu, wanting to ask her for drinks, but saw she looked uncomfortable. Sho tried to punch him, but Yuya threw him aside effortlessly. Everyone was shocked, but the crowd cheered, thinking he was incredible. Sho couldn't believe he lost, even though he boxed professionally. The director told Sho to leave since everything was caught in 4K. Miu thanked Yuya, explaining Sho had been following her, and she didn't know how to handle it. The director added that Sho's reputation was ruined, and he probably wouldn't work again. He asked Yuya if he wanted to do more modeling. Yuya thanked him but felt he wasn't good enough, so he politely declined. The director respected his decision and gave him all the clothes from the shoot as thanks, since they couldn't pay him as an amateur. Yuya accepted, thinking the experience alone was enough. The director insisted he deserved it, especially since he had saved them. Miu hoped to work with him again, and they wished each other luck as she left. Yuya organized his new wardrobe, and his photos were already making waves. A woman from an agency wanted him signed before anyone else, impressed by how he had handled the situation with Miu. Meanwhile, in the other world, Lexia's knights struggled against goblins. A goblin appeared behind her, but Yuya arrived just in time and defeated them all. Lexia was relieved to see him, confirming he was real. He treated a wounded knight while Lexia approached, suddenly asking him to marry her. Everyone froze. Owen, the captain of the Arzelianites, reminded her she was a princess and didn't know enough about Yuya. Lexia insisted it was love at first sight. They argued briefly, but Yuya interrupted, pointing out the forest was dangerous. He invited them back to his house, surprising them with its location. Owen introduced himself properly, and Lexia as the first princess of Arzelia, second in line for the throne. They thanked Yuya again, and he started worrying about overstepping, but they told him not to worry since this wasn't an official visit. Yuya introduced himself, though they found his name unusual, and speculated he could be from another country. Lexia daydreamed about him being royalty, while Owen considered other possibilities. Alan explained they had come because Lexia hadn't had the chance to thank him properly before. She admitted she had thought about him ever since, and again asked him to marry her. Overwhelmed, Yuya said it was too sudden, so Lexia suggested starting as friends. He agreed, still nervous. Owen mentioned another reason for their visit. The king wanted Yuya to visit the royal palace to express his gratitude personally. Yuya hesitated, worried about his new school, but Owen assured him they could wait. They left, and Lexia told him to prepare, promising she would win his heart next time. Meanwhile, in the royal capital, a man reported the failed attempt on Lexia's life. A masked man had sent assassins, who were all killed by monsters in the dark forest. The masked man removed his mask, revealing a disfigured face, and swore revenge on Lexia. Back at his house, Yuya marked his calendar for the visit. He put on his new uniform and headed to the academy. People stared, thinking he was some famous model. The director greeted him but apologized for being busy, reminding Yuya to enjoy school. He was introduced to the class as an official student, spotting Ryo and Shingo, both happy to see him. At the soccer field, Yuya watched Roy score a goal, sending the girls into cheers. Yuya was impressed, and a girl named Kaidi approached him, asking why he didn't join. Yuya shrugged, explaining he didn't have his gym clothes yet. On the field, Roy faked out the opposing team and passed the ball to his teammate Akira, who tried a flashy move but misfired, sending the ball straight at Kaidi. Yuya reacted instantly, stopping it and even scoring in the process. Everyone was stunned at how fast he moved. Kaidi was left speechless, and Akira rushed over, apologizing and swearing to become her servant, but she turned him down. Ryo vouched for Akira, saying he was just quirky, and Akira thanked Yuya for saving both of them. Later, Kaori went to change for Jim, and the girls gossiped about Yuya, calling him a prince. Kaidi explained what happened, and everyone assumed he must have a girlfriend, though Kaori and Kaidi insisted nothing was confirmed. During the next class, Yuya waved at Kaori on the field, but suddenly, delinquents on motorbikes crashed in, swinging bats. The Red Ogres, the most dangerous group around, had arrived. Yuya recognized them and saw his siblings among the group. Kaori wondered why they were there. Yoda, Yuya's brother, pointed out Kaori, saying this was revenge for her looking down on them. Accepting Yuya at the academy, Kaori warned them subtly that the police were on their way, but sibling drama came first. Yuya's inner thoughts ran wild, comparing these bullies to dragons, demons, and his old Wi-Fi troubles. His legs shook like a nervous dance, and friends wondered if he was performing a new dance move. He skipped the dance off and instead performed a snap-out-of-it routine. Then, defying logic and gravity, he opened a window and leapt from the 4th floor, earning the unofficial title of Yuya, the Unarmed Acrobat. Facing his bully Araki, Yuya dodged attacks, called Kaori to safety, and avoided the gang boss's bike attack. Police arrived, arresting the delinquents. Yuya calmed the situation, even as students gawked. He recognized his siblings as part of the mess, dropped some truth bombs, and friends revealed their roles. Yuya admitted his part too, leaving everyone surprised. His mid-air heroics became the highlight of the day, leaving a lasting impression. In the other world, Yuya remembered Owen's warning about the dark forest, full of monsters that could destroy cities. Venturing deeper, he saw a puppy attacked by a level 600 Orc King. At first, Yuya froze, thinking he couldn't win, but he remembered his grandfather and rushed in, defeating the monster with a single shot. Embarrassed at how easily it ended, he checked the puppy, who growled at him at first. He offered a potion, treated it, and won its trust. He named it Knight, discovering it was a level 500 Black Fenrir, practically a demigod. Back home, Yuya checked the drops from the Orc King. An S-rank magic stone, the Orc King's sword and armor, unusable by humans but reforgable, and a rare brush, which he used on Knight. Yuya's level remained 235, which puzzled him, but he figured he'd understand the system eventually. The next day, Yuya left Knight at home and asked friends about local pet shops. Kaidi offered to take him since his friends were busy. Yuya appreciated it, though he got nervous around her, and Kaidi reassured him it wasn't a big deal. After shopping, Yuya returned home with Knight and gave him a new collar. They headed to the park, turning heads everywhere. Knight lapped up the attention like a superstar. In a dramatic twist, Yuya ran into Kaori at the park. He proudly showed off Knight, and she showered the dog with affection, making it the center of attention, while Yuya couldn't help but smile at the chaos his new furry friend caused. Yuya was basking in the "my pet is cooler than yours" moment, and people around them were already acting like he and Knight were the new poster duo for mythical creature lovers. Kaori asked about Knight's breed, and Yuya went full clueless, pretending he had no idea. She wasn't fooled though, and her reaction was pure joy. Apparently, legendary pets were suddenly the hottest trend. Then Miyu, the model he had worked with, showed up at the park. Yuya introduced her to Kaori and the others, and people immediately gawked, impressed by the duo of beauty and beast. Miyu didn't want a scene, so she left, promising they'd meet again. Kaori teased Yuya about it being a girlfriend situation, but Yuta was sure she was too good for him. Yuya just shrugged and ignored the drama. Suddenly, a woman screamed as a man snatched her purse and ran. Yuya told Knight to chase him, and the dog dragged the thief back. When the man tried attacking Kaori, Yuya effortlessly disarmed him. People clapped, and Yuya pictured selling autographed hero capes someday. Police came to take the man away while Yuya headed home, already drafting mental tweets about being a hero. Back in the dark forest, Yuya and Knight became unstoppable. Another Orc King appeared, and soon a crystal deer, level 630, charged. Yuya and Knight split just in time, turning the encounter into a chaotic dance. Knight dazzled the deer with moves like a four-legged Fred Astaire, while Yuya timed a perfect finishing strike. Among the spoils, Yuya found a magical portable bath set with self-cleaning and privacy magic. He laughed and decided to enjoy a forest spa day with Knight. The next day, they faced a needle roller. Yuya dodged and countered expertly, leveling up to 240 while Knight hit 510. The battle revealed a hidden cave, glowing mysteriously. Inside, Yuya found the sage's autobiography, detailing an overachieving life filled with skills, god-level power, and even offers from the gods themselves. The book spoke, warning that as Yuya grew stronger, people might fear him. The sage advised finding people he could trust, and Yuya asked to learn magic. The sage loaded the book with magical knowledge but dropped a twist. Yuya's magical circuits were inactive due to a wrong world glitch. No worries. The sage generously transferred his own circuits to Yuya, along with life advice about happiness and living well. Back home, Yuya dove into practicing magic, sensing the mystical energy around him like tuning into a cosmic radio. He started with basic energy manipulation, imagining spells as easily as making a sandwich. With a dash of imagination, his magic took shape. Going outside, he tried forming a ball of water, and when he shot it at a tree, it smashed through effortlessly. Knight seemed to be learning alongside him too. Meanwhile, in the royal capital, Alan reported to the king about Yuya, including the part where Princess Lexia had proposed. The king freaked out, convinced Yuya had seduced his daughter. Back at home, Yuya was just practicing magic, completely unaware of the royal drama he had unintentionally stirred. Back at school, Yuya kept thinking about the sage's warnings about his weird magic techniques. The teacher announced a camping trip and split the class into groups of 4. Yuya ended up with Kaidi, Akira, and Rin. Kaidi was hyped, but Yuya realized he had 0 camping gear. She suggested a quick trip to the mall. At the mall, Kaori showed up, surprising everyone. Ryo whispered that people always thought Kaori was unapproachable because she's the director's daughter, but Kaori told them to treat her like a normal peer. Yuya noticed Akira wasn't around, and Shingo explained he couldn't make it. Inside, they helped Yuya pick out a backpack before hitting the arcade for fun. Shingo lit up when he saw his favorite gaming figure stuck in a crane machine, but he admitted he was the machine's ultimate nemesis. Yuya used his detect weakness skill and grabbed the figure in one try. Kaidi asked him to win a cat figurine next, and he did it without breaking a sweat. Soon, prizes piled up for everyone. Kaori, new to arcades, thanked Yuya, clearly impressed. Later, the girls went shopping while the guys chilled at a cafe. Yuya appreciated the simple fun of hanging out with friends. Suddenly, an evacuation alarm went off. Fire. Yuya panicked for the girls. He ran to the stairs, and Kaidi told him they were trapped. Yuya didn't waste time. Near the fire, sprinklers weren't enough, so he called on his magic. He cocooned himself in water, zipping through flames like a superhero fish in lava. The girls were unconscious, scattered in smoke, and Yuya's radar locked onto each of them. Flames tried to slow him down, but he just wrapped the girls up and carried them out. Roof beams started falling. Kaori dropped her gift, and Yuya smashed through debris using magic. Firefighters scolded him, but Kaori's dad showed up, grateful for the rescue. At home, Knight greeted him, reminding him that family comes first. Yuya realized magic worked best with imagination. Later, he opened a portal with thought alone to check on Knight while training in the dark forest. On a school trip, they explored a cave and stumbled upon goblins. Yuya grabbed his legendary sword and carved through them, like they were signing up for a tickle fight with a hurricane. Loot was plentiful, and Yuya stored it with ease thanks to his magic storage skill. Teaming up with Knight, they were basically a dynamic duo. Knight wanted to keep going, but Yuya reminded him of school obligations. Suddenly, Knight ran off, and Yuya had to chase him. Stealth mode on, he found a girl surrounded by goblins. Knight pulled him back for a moment, but Yuya jumped in, taking down the attackers. When more goblins appeared, Yuya used his divine whip to bind them all at once, clearing the fight effortlessly. The girl woke up mid-air, startled, and Yuya healed her with his magic. Her name was Luna, and she explained she was training in the forest and got caught by the goblins. Yuya told her he was training too, and she asked him to spar with her. They trained together, improving fast. Luna even took down a goblin with her threads, making Yuya compliment her skills. She joked that mastering this mission was like teaching a cat tricks. Yuya had to leave for the school trip, and Luna thanked him. Later, she appeared unexpectedly while he bathed, offering to wash his back. A dropped towel caused some embarrassment, but they laughed it off. On the trip, Yuya's luck shined as he won repeatedly at cards, thinking Luna had something to do with it. They napped until arrival, changed, and faced a survival challenge. 2 days of fishing, foraging, and avoiding poisonous plants. The teacher's bonus was at stake, and the students weren't exactly hyped. Yuya's inner voice was clear. School life never missed a chance for drama. The students were stuck in the forest, and Yuya wondered what to do first. Akira thought surviving would be easy, but the others ignored him, thinking he was a fool. Rin suggested Yuya and Kaidi try fishing, while she and Akira looked for edible plants. At the riverside, all the students gathered. Kaidi muttered about how they'd slept in and missed prime spots. Real, the river guru, reminded everyone that the best spots were like VIP tickets, sold out. Kaidi suggested a backup plan, but Yuya's inner GPS beeped. Using his detection skill, he found a hidden spot full of fish. Kaidi complained the water was too shallow, but Yuya waded in, remembering Lena's lessons about predicting monster behavior. He grabbed fish by hand, impressing Kaidi and leaving the other students staring like he was auditioning for Fish Whisperer Extraordinaire. Kaidi raised a brow at his overzealous haul, and Yuya sheepishly admitted he may have gone a bit overboard. Meanwhile, Luna trained with her threads in a puppet shop, decapitating puppets and reflecting on her assassin past. Yuya had made an impression on her, and she wished they'd met earlier, but duty as a headhunter called. Back at the river, Yuya and Kaidi met Rin and showed off their haul. Rin marveled at Yuya's hand-catching skills, while Akira complained about his past as a mushroom lab rat and teddy bear decoy for bears. Yuya calmly checked his stats for poison and found him safe. Rin and Akira displayed their plant finds, and Yuya quickly sorted the edible from the toxic like a botanical whisperer. They presented everything to the teacher, who inspected the rest of the students' food. Yuya ran into Kaori and chatted until her team called her away. Akira watched Yuya and Kaori, wishing he had that kind of bond. The group's haul impressed Sawada, and she announced that Yuya would cook since her bonus depended on his meal. Yuya drew on his otherworld cooking experience and prepared a feast that wowed everyone, including a slightly tipsy Sawada. The team ate happily while Yuya soaked in the praise, feeling proud that others enjoyed his food. After the meal, Sawada shocked everyone by proposing. She admitted she couldn't cook or clean, had never been in a relationship, and wanted Yuya to marry her. The group protested, and Kaidi teased him about being no good, making Yuya feel like a failure. Sawada insisted, even offering to wait. Yuya awkwardly declined politely, complimenting her as a teacher. She smiled, smothering him affectionately, while Kaidi tried to pull him away. Akira couldn't believe his luck. That night, Yuya teleported home to feed Knight, who happily ate dinner. He enjoyed making others happy with his food before returning to camp. During showers, everyone stared at him. Akira flexed like a walking ad for abs, and Yuya side-eyed him, wondering what was going on. In the girls' bathroom, Rin teased Kaidi about boys liking her. They mentioned Sawada's proposal, surprising Kaori, who wondered quietly about Yuya's type. The next morning, students found their campsite trashed and assumed a thief had been around. Akira panicked at scratch marks, and Yuya realized it was a bear. The girls ran, panicking. Sawada signaled them to take cover. The bear lunged at Sawada, but Yuya jumped in, wrestling it to the ground and knocking it out. Sawada admitted she'd usually lecture him, but since he saved her life, she let him off, even joking about marrying him again. Yuya politely declined. Kaori explained the bear would be kept as a guard animal and eaten if it attacked again. The camping trip ended safely. Back at Yuya's house, his calendar reminded him of a royal appointment in the other world with Lexia. On the way there, his forest stroll turned into a surprise demon encounter. Yuya switched into demon eradicator mode, ready to clear the path before Lexia's crew ran into trouble. Knight slashed at a demon while Yuya threw a spear, but the demon caught it like it was a toy. Yuya grabbed a hammer, smashed the demon, and cleared the area, admiring the sage's ridiculously powerful weapons. A helmet fell nearby. Yida tried it on, not noticing a strange rabbit-like figure watching him, marking him as important. Lexia's group arrived, and Owen got nervous about Yida wearing the helmet. Yuya quickly removed it. Lexia invited him to the palace to meet the king. Knight jumped onto Lexia just as a tree threatened to fall, showing his protective side. Yuya noticed Luna's threads and realized Knight was shielding them. Luna cursed her failure and ran, but Yuya caught up and subdued her. She passed out, and Yuya was shocked to see her true identity. Lexia arrived as Yuya explained Luna's attack. Knight had already known what was happening, surprising everyone. Yuya wanted to heal Luna and figure out her story, doubting that she was truly evil. Lexia agreed to come along, though Alan warned her not to go alone. Yuya teleported them home quickly, leaving Owen behind. Lexia was amazed by the teleportation. They waited for Luna to wake up, and Yuya explained how he met her in the forest and even trained with her. Lexia, however, was more curious about the teleportation spell. Yuya shrugged, saying he just thought of using magic to move and accidentally created it. Lexia was shocked, saying teleportation was basically a fairy tale, and warned him not to use it in public, or it could even spark a war. Lexia called out Luna, who realized she was caught. Lexia noticed Yuya already knew she was faking sleep, but was playing along. Luna didn't want to talk, saying she might as well die, but Yuya asked anyway. Luna explained she was an orphan, scavenged to survive, then taken in by a man who taught her to read, write, and assassinate. Eventually, she joined the Dark Guild and became a famous headhunter. Lexia was shocked to hear her name. Yuya realized Knight probably knew all along, explaining the earlier hostility. Luna said her mission was to kill Lexia, but she failed, now facing the guild's fail and die policy. Yuya checked on her, asking if she was okay. Luna was skeptical, but Yuya declared she was officially his friend, which made her roll her eyes. Lexia jumped in with her usual flair, offering Luna a role as her personal guard and keeping the assassination attempt secret. Luna found it ridiculous, citing her criminal past and blood-stained hands. Lexia countered by praising her soft hands thanks to Yuya's magical bath item. Luna hesitated but eventually accepted the role. Meanwhile, Alan and his soldiers were forced to retreat from goblins, leaving Lexia's safety in Yuya's hands. As her first order, Luna demanded to know about Yuya's bath. Yuya explained it was a special item that could make a bath anywhere, heal fatigue, and even improve beauty. Lexia was thrilled and invited Luna to join her bath, while Yuya nervously declined. The girls relaxed together, but Lexia suddenly asked if Luna liked Yuya. Luna said they were just friends. Lexia insisted she could tell Luna liked him, but Luna denied it. Lexia declared she would marry him anyway, which baffled Luna. Then Lexia officially declared war on Luna for Yuya's heart. Luna, fueled by the idea of Yuya slipping away, accepted, becoming both Lexia's rival and personal guardian in one chaotic move. After their bath, Yuya figured it was dinner time. Lexia offered to cook but struggled to chop a potato, lost her knife, and nearly caused a disaster. Yuya ended up doing all the cooking. The girls devoured the meal, praising him. Luna, still sore from their fight, asked to be fed, claiming her wounds made moving hard. Yuya, remembering how hard he hit her, agreed. As she ate, she smirked at Lexia. Lexia got jealous and demanded Yuya feed her too. Yuya pointed out she wasn't injured, but Lexia used her princess authority, and he had no choice. That night, the girls crashed together, leaving Yuya tired but content. The next day, they met Owen and his group. Yuya apologized for leaving earlier. Alan asked about their new companion, and Yuya reintroduced Knight. Owen thanked him for rescuing Lexia and asked about Luna. Lexia spilled Luna's secret, former assassin, now her guard. Luna's jaw dropped at the quick reveal. Owen's group surrounded her, but Lexia called a stand down. Aline complained Luna was unpredictable, but Lexia argued that their sleepovers proved her loyalty. Aline stayed cautious, but agreed to a ceasefire. Yuya explained he had to skip the palace trip to return home for school. Quick goodbyes were exchanged. Suddenly, Luna ran up, kissing Yuya to thank him. Lexia, jealous, wanted her turn, but Owen ignored her. Yuya wondered about Luna's feelings. Later, Yuya took a bath and found a strange creature nearby. A notification popped up, tamed successfully. The creature accepted him, and Yuya checked its stats. It had abilities like Holy Ground. Yuya asked for a demonstration. The creature created a glowing field around them, buffing Yuya. Impressed, he named it Akatsuki. Knight reminded him of the time, so Yuya rushed back to school. Class was in session, and Sawana announced a ball game showdown with bonus points on the line. Teams split, and Yuya suited up as goalie. Real dominated, scoring everywhere. Rin's distraction failed, but Akira sneaked in for a steal. Yuya went full hero, blocking Akira like a legend, then accidentally threw the ball into the other goal. After school, a modeling agency invited Yuya to join, but he declined, happy with school life. Mise tried convincing him, noting he'd worked with a model before and would be on a magazine cover. An event poster fell, and Kari chased it while the chief suggested a school article featuring Yuya. Meanwhile, in the other world, Yuya defeated a skeleton monster and ventured deeper into the forest, facing tough black trees. Akatsuki surprised him, and a mithril boar attacked. Yuya struggled until a talking rabbit named Usagi appeared, effortlessly defeating the boar. Usagi introduced himself as a strong mentor and challenged Yuya to show his skills. Yuya went Hulk mode, smashing a tree, and sparred with Usagi. Plot twist. Usagi revealed he saw Yuya as a future guardian against dark forces, a divine keeping evil at bay. Yuya thought about protecting Knight and Akatsuki. Usagi joined, requesting magic lessons in exchange for training. Yuya realized the sage had been the real magician all along, but agreed to swap knowledge. Suddenly, King Methyl Boar appeared. Yuya used kicks and his whip to defeat it, collecting several SS-ranked items. Usagi explained that even stronger monsters existed at SS and EX ranks, with legendary ones being insanely tough. A notification flashed. Yuya was evolving. He glowed. His appearance stayed the same, but he gained a bunch of new skills, ready for whatever came next. The next day, Yuya joined the table tennis competition. The chief told him to put on a good show. His opponent was the national champ, the sniper, and his serve was brutal. Yuya barely missed the first one, but the next? Easy. He even punched a hole in the table. Not wanting to hurt anyone, he forfeited, leaving photographers complaining that he moved too fast. Kaidi dragged him off to volleyball since someone got injured. During the match, the ball popped and the cord broke. The other team surrendered instantly. Kaidi told Yuya a win's a win, but then they heard a scream. Kaori's teammate had been carried off, and Yuya readied himself. In tennis, Yuya faced Kaori, who threw a tricky serve. One shot narrowly missed him. She served again, throwing her racket instead, and Yuya realized her earlier teammate had been taken out by her. He took over the game, covering every shot. Kaori tried to help, but nearly fell. Yuya caught her, and the chief finally got a photo. Afterward, Kaori walked home with Yuya, offering to pay for dinner. Yuya shrugged, saying her company was enough, but then she kissed him. Plot twist. Elsewhere, Asaki and Usagi fought a dangerous enemy, their combo moves earning Yuya new fans. The modeling agency loved Yuya's magazine photos, but he declined, happy at school. Back home, Yuya and Kaori studied together, helping each other prep for exams. She met Akatsuki and thought his pets were adorable. After accidentally wandering to the door to the other world, Kaori got a crash course from Yuya. He showed the barrier that only lets authorized people pass, and told her about his adventures in the other world, fighting monsters, using magic, and even saving people from fires. Kaori was skeptical, so Yuya offered to show her the other world. She was amazed. He explained Knight was a Fenrir and Akatsuki pig-like, though the latter was offended. He showed her stats, explaining they represented abilities, and her starting stats were higher than his had been. Yuya talked about leveling up and growing stronger. Kaori wanted to explore more, and Yuya warned her danger lurked beyond the barrier. They made a pinky promise. His secret was hers too. Their bond deepened. Meanwhile, Lexia returned to the palace alone. Owen filled the king in, dropping Luna's name. Luna confessed her failed assassination attempt on Lexia, and the king nearly executed her. Lexia intervened, making Luna her guard. The king learned about Luna's headhunter past from Alan, and grew concerned about her connection to Yuya. The masked first prince, Rhaegar, planned to disable magic during Yuya's palace visit, leaving only Luna and Owen as threats. Yuya got a day off after the academy competition. He farmed a sheep monster, got rare loot, and grabbed an item that gave the best sleep ever. Heading to the nearby town, he found cat girls and went to the guild to trade, having no money in this world. The master was impressed by Yuya's items when he pulled out peppers from his storage skill. They were the highest quality he'd ever seen. He offered 100 gold coins, enough to feed a family for 20 years. The master gave Yuya a guild card and told him how to reach the capital via stagecoach. When Yuya arrived, he was amazed at the crowds. Akatsuki pointed toward the palace, and Yuya realized just how out of place he felt, nervous but ready for whatever adventures awaited. Yuya stormed into the palace with Owen, panicking like he'd forgotten his shoes, but Owen was calm, saying it was just a casual meet. Inside, they bumped into Lexia and Luna. Yuya faced the king, who immediately assumed he was some smooth-talking prince flirting with Lexia. Owen jumped in to smooth things over. Then the king demanded gifts for Lexia. Yuya offered a sheep betting set, which only made the king suspicious that he was up to something. Alan explained Yuya was clueless, and Lexia backed him up, saving the day. Out of nowhere, assassins attacked. Arrows rained down, but a magical barrier blocked them. Yuya and Knight tore through the attackers. Lexia hugged Yuya mid-action, which made Luna jealous and earned a glare from the king. Owen spotted an emblem on the fallen attackers. Rhaegar, the first prince, was behind this mess. The news hit the castle. The king retreated, leaving Yuya and Lexia to plot a way around more hired goons. Luna quickly realized Lexia was trying to sneak out safely. They set out on a tour. Lexia wanted to show Yuya the jewelers. Luna suggested other spots, and a playful "Who's Got Yuya's Attention" competition started. Bystanders assumed he was some high-class noble with 2 beautiful escorts. Yuya showed interest in the Adventurers Guild, and Luna convinced him to join for easy quests, signing up herself to tag along. Lexia protested, but Luna reassured her. They met Emilia, the guild clerk, who handed them the applications. Filling out the form, Yuya listed his magic as wind, fire, and water, remembering Sage's advice to keep it simple. His power was tested on a crystal ball. Luna admitted she wasn't great at magic. Yuya smashed the ball. Everyone freaked. Emilia thought it was a mistake, but retesting confirmed it. She gawked at Yuya's 3-element magic, calling it fairy tale level. Lexia and Luna were impressed. The group got F-ranked adventurer cards, with Emilia reminding them to handle quests responsibly. At the quest board, they debated which mission to start with: herb gathering. Glenda noticed Yuya's crystal feet and drunkenly tried to chat, but left after a warning. Out in the field, Yuya used his discernment skill to gather herbs without mistakes. Luna struggled but kept up, and Lexia suggested a contest. Whoever found the best herbs won a day-long date with Yuya. Yuya hit gold with a mana healing plant, while Akatsuki almost grabbed a toxic one. Owen rushed over. The first prince had been spotted. Yuya and Owen set off while Lexia and Luna returned to the castle. They arrived at an abandoned house. Owen guessed the prince might already be captured, but a knife flew at a guard as they entered. The prince threatened him, but Knight saved the day. Alan ordered surrender, but the prince fought back, slashing and threatening himself. Yuya stepped in and knocked him out. Owen praised him, and they evacuated the prince, just in time for the house to explode. A mysterious savior appeared. Glenda assessed the chaos, deciding Yuya had failed her expectations and was expendable. The prince realized he'd been tricked. Glenda's plan wasn't about him rising, but causing chaos, and she still had one deadly move left. Yuya, Alan, and the knights tread carefully. Then, plot twist, an arrow freezes Alan in his tracks. The attacker is a girl. She plans to wipe out humanity and predicts their moves like a cheat code. Yuya uses magic to deflect arrows, and she realizes he's the Yuya she's been hunting. Despite wanting a fight, she retreats, depleted. The prince is captured, but Yuya wonders who she is. Rhaegar is brought before the king, mask off, body scarred. Lexia struggles internally. Facing him is rough, especially since her magic had gone rogue and hurt him. That encounter triggered his mad mode, hungry for chaos. Rhaegar, haunted by his demons, injured himself further, blaming the king for exiling him as first prince. Yuya, feeling him, intervened with a healing potion made from his cure-all herb. Scars gone. Yuya casually admits he grows it. Rhaegar laughs bitterly, realizing healing doesn't erase reality. Gratitude swirls. The king acknowledges Yuya, and Lexia pardons Rhaegar. The king stands firm, but Lexia kneels, begging leniency. Armor cracks. Her plea softens him. Lexia ups the stakes with marriage talk. Luna chips in. The king names Yuya Lord Knight and gives land and a mansion. That night, Yuya dreams of the mysterious girl, wakes at school, and rushes home, lost in thought. In the other world, he trains for a confrontation. The girl attacks. Cory shows up to study but finds him gone. Yuya and Knight counterattack. The girl admires his skill, but wants him gone before he grows stronger. She shoots. Cory panics. Yuya shields her, causing an explosion. She aims her strongest attack, but Usagi appears just in time. He explains the girl, Yudi, is the divine archer's disciple seeking revenge for her slain master. Yudi complains she didn't sign up for divine rules. The duel intensifies. Yuya uses Usagi's trick, creating an opening. Usagi swoops in with a high-flying kick. Yudi keeps attacking with vile power. Yuya struggles. Usagi helps protect him. Akatsuki uses holy ground to neutralize her magic, letting Yuya take her down. Usagi explains holy beasts like Akatsuki counter the vile. Cory spots a monstrous threat, but Yuya goes full action hero and vaporizes it. Aftermath is a buzzkill. Yuya admits his world isn't all sunshine. Cory steps in, sweetly confessing her admiration from the start.
Gabamaru was born a shinobi who studied only killing techniques. Sadly, his parents were killed by the chief when he was a baby because they wanted to leave the village. Even so, he grew up and killed many lives, which led to him being sentenced to death. Another prisoner is about to be decapitated in front of the judge. The executioner raises his blade and quickly brings it down on the prisoner's neck. Cutting a head in one blow is almost impossible most of the time. It takes multiple blows to completely sever the neck. The samurai swings his sword repeatedly to decapitate the prisoner, but against all expectations, the sword breaks. This shocks both the judges watching and the executioner himself. Meanwhile, the white-haired prisoner unharmed sighs and wonders why he cannot seem to die. He has killed countless people by now and never expected to live a long life. Shortly after, the prisoner is returned to his cell while a woman records his life story. The prisoner's name is Gabamaru, a shinobi born in the village of Iwagakure, trained in assassination techniques from childhood. Many lose their lives during training, but the survivors develop superhuman bodies. The woman understands how breaking a blade against his neck would be trivial for someone like Gabamaru. He did not even need to use ninjutsu to protect himself. She asks if he can show her his ninjutsu, but Gabamaru refuses. The next day, the judge orders that Gabamaru be burned at the stake. Burning is typically a punishment for arson, and scorching flesh causes unimaginable pain while the heat makes the muscles contract violently, bending the body so severely that the bones break. Sometimes the condemned are mercifully killed beforehand. A samurai tries to grant mercy to Gabamaru before the burning, but the spear breaks when they try to stab him. They proceed with the execution, and Gabamaru is enveloped in a massive inferno. However, moments later, he opens his eyes behind the flames. Still smoking, Gabamaru is taken back to his cell, where he talks to the woman. He explains that he is not even resisting. If anything, he wants to die, too. The woman urges him to continue his story so she can keep writing. Gabamaru remembers that he was told only that his parents were killed by the village chief when he was a child. He does not know why and feels nothing about it. He also does not dream because shinobi do not have a grand purpose. They just kill as ordered. As for why he was captured, it was because he tried to leave the village. His allies betrayed him during a mission leading to his capture. The chief probably ordered it. No one is allowed to leave. The next day, Gabamaru is sentenced to death by oxen in the arena. Oxen are brought and tied to his legs. This method not only tears a person limb from limb, it splits them from the groin to the chest. The samurai whips the oxen to make them run. The ropes tighten around Gabamaru's legs. However, the oxen tire and pant and Gabamaru remains unharmed. The judge grows furious at this humiliation. The woman approaches Gabamaru and points out that despite claiming he wants to die, he is still resisting. She asks why he wanted to leave his village. Gabamaru explains that he was the best in Iwagakure, respected by the chief. He even married his daughter, but she was foolish, an indifferent, naive girl who turned his life upside down. She scolded him to take off his shoes before entering the house, to pray daily, to give thanks after meals. He grew tired of it, not wanting to lose his edge, so he asked to leave. The chief agreed with one condition, one final mission. After his capture, Gabamaru realized it was a trap, that he had been stupid to challenge the chief in the first place, so he gave up on life. That night, a samurai warns the woman to stay away from Gabamaru for her own safety. He reveals that Gabamaru is not just an ex-shinobi from Iwagakure. He is the legendary Hollow Man, a tearless assassin, without emotions who killed 20 men during his arrest. Rumors say that shinobi from Iwagakure consume an immortality elixir from the land of the rising sun. But the woman counters, if he is truly hollow, why did he resist so fiercely? Meanwhile, Gabamaru reflects on her words. She is right. He has been resisting. When they tried to decapitate him, he reinforced his neck. He wonders why he does not just die when he has nothing to live for. And the next day, Gabamaru is sentenced to death by boiling in oil. Oil is ignited at over 370 degrees, so it cannot boil much in clay pots. Not that it matters since everyone dies before. But Gabamaru emerges from the broken pot. His body on fire, however, remained unharmed. He questions why he endures this. He should not have any purpose left. The judge trembles with rage at another failed execution. The woman closes her notebook, telling him that she has finished recording events and is ready for the next phase. The next day, the judge leads a bound Gabamaru down a hallway. Gabamaru asks what execution awaits him this time. The judge smiles. This time he will finally die. The door opens, revealing the woman kneeling inside. Confused, Gabamaru listens as the judge explains. She is not just an inspector. She is Yamada Aseman Sajiri, a sword tester and executioner sent from Edo. The name Yamada Aseman belongs to a clan of master swordsmen who have served as executioners for generations. Sajiri tells Gabamaru that the shogun has ordered his execution. Gabamaru instantly expects his head to fly and flinches in fear. He realizes that Sajiri is the real one. Breaking his restraints, he jumps backward. The judge panics, ordering Sajiri to kill him immediately. In an instant, Sajiri is behind Gabamaru, her sword raised high. She swings, but Gabamaru dodges. She asks why he moved. Staying still would have granted his death wish. Gabamaru clutches a bleeding wound on his neck. Sajiri attacks again and Gabamaru leaps over her, wondering why his body refuses to die. Sajiri explains that through her work, she has witnessed many final moments. Some fake bravery, others beg for mercy, some lie to themselves about accepting death. Gabamaru has a vast emptiness inside, but he lied about one thing. He does have a purpose. He loves his wife. Her words triggered memories of Gabamaru, how truly happy he was with his wife. He snatches a sword from a guard and charges at Sajiri. Their blades clash before the guard can react. Sajiri tells him that he could not die during his executions because of his feelings for his wife. He is lying to himself about having no purpose. Gabamaru shouts for her to shut up. She knows nothing about his world. He roars that he is hollow and attacks again, but in his mind, he remembers his wife bandaging his wounds, telling him that he is not hollow. He responds that the title fits him. He is used to horrible things. She hugs him, insisting that he is kind, the only one who never recoiled from her scarred face. In his village, men are soldiers. Women give birth to children. They are not allowed to live as people. Her father burned her face so she would stop trying to live normally. Gabamaru blushes in shame. His wife laughs, pointing out his face. Someone like him could never be hollow. Back in the present, the fight continues as Gabamaru insists he is hollow, a monster without feelings. No matter what, he will never be human. In the past, he earned money killing. His wife tried to hide her disappointment, so he decided to stop. They could live quietly. That is what she wanted, so he thought the chief would understand. Instead, he was expelled. As Gabamaru prepares another attack, Sajiri suddenly offers him a chance, an official pardon. Not only are all charges dropped, but he will also be under the shogun's protection. Neither the judge nor Iwagakure can harm him or his wife. But there is a condition. Gabamaru must go to the other side. Confused, Gabamaru asks if she wants him to die. Sajiri explains that there is a land of fertility and joy free from pain. Shinsenkyo from ancient times has been called paradise, said to lie far to the southwest beyond the Ryukyu kingdom. Now it has been found full of butterflies and beautiful song. It is rumored to contain the elixir of immortality. The shogun sent expeditions there, but only one boat returned, full of flowers growing from the corpses of the samurai. 5 more missions disappeared. Instead of fear, the shogun declared the land truly mystical. The elixir must be there. He ordered that condemned criminals be sent next. Whoever returns with the elixir is pardoned. Sajiri came to find candidates, skilled individuals with a strong will to live. She tells Gabamaru that his wife is still in Iwagakure waiting. Since his arrest, she has locked herself away, speaking to no one. The only way to reunite with her is to travel to this mysterious island, compete with other criminals, and secure the pardon. Will he risk everything for a life with her? The judge interrupts, refusing to pardon Gabamaru. He orders his men to attack. Meanwhile, Gabamaru remembers his wife's face again. Tears fall as he asks Sajiri if she still wants to see his ninjutsu. Suddenly, flames erupt from Gabamaru's body. Moments later, he sits atop unconscious guards while Sajiri holds the judge at bay. Gabamaru tells her that he will do it. He will find the elixir of life. In the past, a condemned narrator asked to be executed while finishing his tale. Sajiri's father, Yamada Asiman Aizen, agreed. Even after decapitation, the man finished his story. He had not realized he had been decapitated. The blow was perfect, without pain, without emotion. Witnessing this, Sajiri vowed to follow her father's path. After training, she performed her first execution perfectly. 1 blow, 1 head. But afterward, she saw the ghosts of the dead clinging to her. Her superior said that fear stained her sword, causing painful deaths. She promised to improve. The next time, she was told to look at the reflection of her blade again. She saw the dead staring back at her. Sajiri realized that her sword was heavy with fear, making executions agonizing and her blade heavier. She still wonders how to remove doubt and fear from her heart. Like her father, these days, the condemned criminals recruited by Asiman are gathered in front of the shogun, His Highness Tokugawa Nariyoshi. The criminals start causing a ruckus, making the samurai uneasy about what might happen. Meanwhile, Sajiri looks over the criminals and recognizes their identities, from thieves and serial killers to grotesque assassins. The samurai leader starts telling the criminals their mission. Travel to Shinsenkyo and return with the elixir of life. Whoever completes the mission first will receive an official pardon. Sajiri notes that the convicts' spirits change immediately upon hearing about the pardon. She notes one of them, the serial killer, getting excited about the chance to be free and kill again. She wonders if she could kill someone without doubt or fear if she truly believed the person was evil. Meanwhile, she notes Gabamaru yawning out of pure boredom. One of the prisoners, Yuzuriha, recognizes Gabamaru. She notes that he looks smaller and more miserable than the rumors described. He has been captured, too. Gabamaru apologizes for not living up to her expectations, while Sajiri admits that she was cautious of him at first, but now he is indifferent like a different person. Is he like the other criminals or worse? She checks her blade, but trembles when imagining a ghost in its reflection. The samurai then describes the island they will head to. The criminals start shouting again. This makes the samurai leader order that their hoods be removed. They bring something covered with a white cloth. When they pull the cloth, underneath is a man growing flowers and branches from his body. The samurai explains that he is the only soldier who returned alive from a recent expedition. As they can see, he is no longer human. When he returned, lumps covered his body that began to bloom the next day. Around 60 other mission members are still missing. They have no idea what is happening on the island since the man in front of them is their only source of information. The criminals start shouting that they should have been warned how dangerous the island is. Meanwhile, a samurai insists that blooming into flowers is a blessed thing because it came from heaven. The criminals argue back, telling the samurai to be grateful that they are being given a chance to travel to heaven in the first place. One convict, a young boy, asks how they can be sure the elixir even exists there when they have no information about the island. The samurai leader responds that they can still back out because participation is voluntary. One tattooed criminal accepts the offer and walks away from the meeting. But before he leaves, a sailor severs his head. The samurai leader also explains that they will be assigned monitors when they reach the island. After all, they are all death row convicts. Yamada, a seaman, will accompany them as their supervisor. If they misbehave, their heads will be cut immediately. Naturally, if their monitor dies, whether by accident or murder, their heads will be cut, too. If they return without a monitor, they will not be allowed back on the ship. Gabamaru asks Sajiri if this is true. She quickly confirms. He accepts it calmly, making Sajiri wonder if he is brave or just stupid. Then the shogun whispers something to the samurai leader. After receiving his orders, the leader also explains that before landing on the island, they must reduce their numbers. Not everyone will be allowed to land because the ship's capacity and available sailors are limited. The criminals are confused about what it means, but one speaks slowly. The young scarred man strangles another criminal and reveals that the samurai want them to kill each other. He crushes someone's head with a rock and urges the others to act fast or they will be killed. The samurai leader agrees, saying that anyone who dies there was useless on the island anyway. However, he warns the criminals not to loosen their restraints. A chaos of fighting breaks out as convicts break each other's necks, kick each other, and crush heads with rocks. Sajiri watches the chaos while Gabamaru sits calmly in his place. As the fight continues, more and more criminals die. The shogun enjoys the spectacle because he rarely sees death fights in his era. Meanwhile, the samurai leader despises the shogun for enjoying the fight since his hands are tied. The criminals cannot even fight properly. It is just pure chaos. Then the shogun asks another samurai which of the criminals have red seals. These mark criminals with exceptional abilities that converge on supernatural powers. The samurai points them out one by one. First is the young blonde scarred man who started the fight. Despite his youth, he led a bandit gang. He is exceptional and founded a bandit village deep in the Ezo Mountains. Next is the woman who recognized Gabamaru. She was involved in the siege of Sagami Castle. It was Yuzuriha who tied up every warrior in the castle. Then a skilled duelist with long hair known as the Blade Dragon. Next, a huge man rumored to eat bears head first. Rumor says that neither swords nor spears were effective against him. Among them, the most notable is the living legend Gabamaru the Hollow. But when the samurai points him out, they are confused because he is just standing in the middle of the fight without moving. At the side, Sajiri's senior Aizen asks if she is overwhelmed. He tells her that it will be more brutal on the island, not just among the criminals, but she will be at risk, too. When that happens, will she be able to kill? He also tells her that she is unsuitable for her job. Sajiri is hurt, but cannot respond. Aizen asks why she bothers carrying a sword, saying that the daughter of a warrior should live quietly at home and stay away from the executioner's fate. Sajiri takes a deep breath and responds that if she could, she would. However, even as children, she already knew. Everyone born in the Yamada clan earns their living from other people's deaths. Testing swords on corpses, severing heads of criminals, and making medicines from bodies are their future. Children chased her everywhere, threw stones, and called her the executioner's daughter. She can try to look away, but the truth is reflected in the blade. Back in the present, a group of criminals plan to escape the prison. They see Sajiri and decide to attack her and steal her sword because she is a woman. Aizen moves to kill them, but Sajiri stops him. Instead, she approaches them herself. She remembers how she could not escape the executioner's fate in the past, but she will not accept it quietly. Now she will find her own fate. She unsheathes her sword and prepares to attack. Fear surges again, but she still cuts the heads of the criminals attacking her. She wonders why her fear still devours her, but suddenly hears Gabamaru telling her that killing people is never a good thing. Gabamaru now addresses the shogun, asking if he can find another way to choose who goes. They may be killers, but not all killed because they wanted to. Their guards are angry with him for speaking to the shogun so plainly, but Gabamaru repeats that killing people when you do not have to is the most natural thing in the world. Meanwhile, the samurai leader orders a group of criminals to kill Gabamaru. If they succeed, they automatically join the expedition. One criminal gladly accepts and picks up a rock. Gabamaru tries to reason with them, but the convict responds that he has no problem killing if it means he survives. He throws the rock at Gabamaru, but Gabamaru simply dodges. With no choice, Gabamaru sighs and decides that he will have to fight. The convict asks why since Gabamaru does not want to kill anyone, but Gabamaru responds that he cannot stand death either. Just thinking about what he is about to endure weighs on his mind. Then suddenly the convict tears his throat with his hands, cutting himself. He then attacks the condemned, killing each one by kicking their heads or biting them. Some run toward him, but he jumps over them easily and kills them. His fight takes them to the shore where Gabamaru continues killing his attackers, finishing the last by driving his hands through the man's chest. The shogun and samurai are astonished by his skill. It seems they realize that the man soaked in blood in front of them really is the hollow legend. Meanwhile, Sajiri remembers how Gabamaru said that killing weighs on him exactly how all her killings weigh on her sword and are reflected in her blade. She wonders if what she needs is not strength to not fear killing, but the determination to bear the burden of that fear in the soul she took. A tear falls on her cheek, prompting Aizen to ask if she is okay. He asks if the responsibility of killing Gabamaru might be too much for her, but she steels herself and promises to kill him. The samurai leader announces that all the remaining survivors will join the mission. They are Chobei, king of bandits, Kyan the Twisted, Tensen the hunter who caught 100 Nirugai of Senka, Harubo killing prayer, Gabamaru the hollow, Yuzuriha the fugitive, Pakiyu the courtesan cannibal, Yuzuriha of Kishu, Mu-Dan the apostate, Roarota the bison giant. Each of the 10 convicts will be accompanied by an Asiman executioner. They will board a ship, travel to the undiscovered island, and find the elixir of life. They head to heaven, to Shinsenkyo. Even after being pierced by blades and bleeding on the ground, he remains standing. After witnessing this, Gabamaru can only conclude that the chief of his village Iwagakure was truly immortal. Apparently, it was because of a medicine he obtained long ago from a land across the sea. Back in the present, Gabamaru is now in another land across the sea. He comments that based on Sajiri's expression, she does not think the elixir of life exists. However, Gabamaru assures her that it is real. He does not know if it is in this place, though. The two enter a forest full of beautiful flowers and tall trees. Seeing the surroundings, Sajiri remarks, "This place certainly makes one think the elixir might exist there." Gabamaru responds, "It is terrifying to him. There is no rhyme or reason to the types and habitats of plants growing there, which makes it feel unnatural to him. Not only that, they resemble the flowers growing from the samurai's body." Gabamaru cuts the rope tying his hands, but Sajiri tells him that it is not allowed. Gabamaru argues that it is ridiculous to expect to find the elixir with his hands tied. Sajiri insists that it is not her choice, they are the shogun's orders. She cannot overlook any attempt to break the rules. He points out that tying his hands is not the only ridiculous thing about the mission. They were only given food and water for 3 days, and their only guide is a drawing. It seems they are not really trying to find the elixir. Sajiri threatens Gabamaru with her sword and makes clear that she is not his ally, she is his executioner. It will not be her problem if he fails to find the elixir. If he refuses to be tied, she will simply execute him. Gabamaru sighs and agrees to have his hands tied again. Out of nowhere, a huge metal ball tied to a chain suddenly hits him, sending him flying. The ball then returns to the hands of another convict, Kyan the Twisted. Sajiri is surprised because the Asiman executioner guarding Kyan the Twisted is standing beside her. Kyan the Twisted boasts of his victory when Gabamaru suddenly wakes up again and adjusts his neck back in place. Sajiri explains to him that Kyan the Twisted is a warrior monk who fell in love with weapons during his training. Rumor has it he stole over 100 weapons from other warriors. However, Gabamaru points out that Kyan's hands are not tied. Sajiri asks Kisho why Kyan's hands are not tied. Kisho responds that Sajiri is the only one still strict as always. They can only tie their hands back. He notes that Sajiri is the lowest-ranking samurai because she is honest to an extreme. Meanwhile, Kyan speaks again and tells Gabamaru that he is bold and brave as the rumors say. He plans to test his weapons on him to satisfy his heart. After all, weapons only shine if they drink blood. Then he pulls out a large mace from his weapon bag. Gabamaru argues that if they fight there, the others will gain the lead. Kyan responds that it is exactly why he is doing it. They were not given clues to start, so he plans to kill the other criminals first and then take his time searching for the elixir. Gabamaru is his first target. Kisho tells them that they are free to kill each other if they want. They are only there to observe. Sajiri agrees, so Gabamaru sighs and decides he must kill. Kyan charges at him and Gabamaru prepares to fight, but Sajiri suddenly calls him from behind. She orders him to tie his hands. With no choice, Gabamaru ties his hands while Kyan attacks him with all kinds of weapons. Mace crushes against his head. Hammers break on his side and Kyan tries to stab him with a spear. Gabamaru ignores it, attacks and ends up tying his hands. Meanwhile, Kyan thinks this is convenient since he can test all his weapons on him. Gabamaru starts fighting. Kyan lifts him into the air with the spear he tried to stab him with. All kinds of weapons fall from Kyan and Gabamaru kicks the spear so it hits Kyan. Kyan falls to the ground. To Sajiri's surprise, Gabamaru managed to defeat Kyan with one blow, but Kyan slowly stands up, showing that the armor was sewn directly to his skin. After a few moments, Gabamaru is standing over Kyan's body, which was full of all kinds of weapons. He then shows his tied hands to Sajiri and tells her they should go start searching for the elixir. Meanwhile, Kisho unsheathes his sword and cuts Kyan's head. He collects the head and offers farewell to the two. Gabamaru asks him if they did not need to fight, and Kisho explains that they are neither enemies nor allies. If the criminal in charge dies, they simply take his head and return. Sajiri asks him to be careful on the way back, but Kisho responds that he considers himself lucky to be able to return home so quickly. Unlike Sajiri, who thinks she is safe just because Gabamaru's hands are tied, Kisho tells her that he has already seen a lot after only moments of heading to the beach. Some tried to reduce the competition before even landing. Some planned to work together. Some pretended to work together. The criminals did not follow society's rules from the beginning. They will try to survive as it suits them. Sajiri asks if the criminals breaking the rules would not invalidate their pardon. But that makes Kisho call her strict again. For samurai, the shogun's word is absolute. But what really matters are his priorities. The first priority is the elixir. Everything else comes after. The shogun would rather break the rules to obtain the elixir than fail. He asks if Gabamaru should be killed by her, but before she can unsheath her sword, Gabamaru stops him and asks him to stop wasting time joking. He just wants to return to his wife. Meanwhile, on the beach, the giant Roarota and his guards have arrived. Roarota suddenly attacks Aizen, forcing him to fight. However, his sword breaks on Roarota's skin. Moments later, Roarota is already feeding on a dead samurai corpse at his feet. Elsewhere, the bandit king, Joseé, kills the monk. The Akagi girl is killed by her guards. She had tried to seduce Mudan and Yuzuriha, who had tried to form an alliance. Both had their swords thrust through their bodies. Kisho also tells Gabamaru that the shogun may have contacted his old village Iwagakure and tells Sajiri that her mission will probably also decide the next chief of her clan. After Kisho leaves, Sajiri realizes that he was right. Although they traveled together, she still does not understand Gabamaru's true character. She was about to ask where they are heading next when Gabamaru suddenly attacks her. In the past, Gabamaru's parents asked permission to leave the village after having a child. In response, the leader killed them and decided to raise the son Gabamaru as his own. The young Gabamaru was told that emotions, even love between father and son, make people weak. If you are not strong, you cannot protect the loved ones. Back in the present, he remembers his wife's face and attacks Sajiri. She tries to tell him that he is breaking the rules, but Gabamaru responds that if the Iwagakure reach the island, everything will turn to ashes. He must find the elixir before that, and Sajiri will only slow him down. He attacks Sajiri again, and she realizes she must carry out Gabamaru's execution, but for some reason, she hesitates. Meanwhile, Gabamaru wonders why he cannot kill Sajiri, although he had multiple opportunities during their fight. He seems to be hesitating about something. He remembers his wife's words telling him that it is natural not to want to kill someone, and she asked him to listen to his feelings because he is no longer his old self. True bravery is being honest with your emotions. Since then, he felt more emotions after meeting his wife. He even felt hatred when an enemy promised revenge on his wife, which made him kill them without mercy. He is about to kill Sajiri again, but his hand stops before cutting her throat. He wonders what this weakness is that struck him. He manages to destroy Sajiri's swords with one blow and begs her to die peacefully because killing her would hurt him too. Sajiri laughs bitterly and asks if he has any feelings left. After a long fight, Gabamaru now sits over Sajiri's body with his weapon pointed right at her throat. He declares that he has no feelings because he is Gabamaru the Hollow. He has killed so many people that he is tired now. Killing one more does not make him feel anything. However, his hand trembles and he cannot steady it. The ghost of the leader who used to loom over his shoulder has been replaced by his wife's warm embrace. He wonders why he still hesitates when he should feel nothing. Sajiri looks at his face and realizes that the expression he wears now is always the one he has when he has to kill, as if he is trying to endure something. She notes that the environment in which Gabamaru grew up simply raised him wrong. He is not an empty man who feels nothing. He is a human with feelings, and observing him allowed her to confront her own emotions. Gabamaru cries and laments how weak he is now because he cannot kill a girl. Sajiri responds and tells him that this is not weakness. It is the seed of strength. She believes that not running from your own feelings is strength. Gabamaru remembers how his wife said the same in the past. Sajiri sits up and tells him that she will overlook his behavior this time. If he regrets his crimes, faces his feelings, and fights to restore his life, she hopes to see that. Meanwhile, she tells herself that she must face her own feelings, too, so she can become stronger. Elsewhere on the island, Tenzin, the sword dragon, finds a group of scattered Buddha statues. He notes a butterfly that landed and stung his arm has a human face. He remembers how flowers bloom from the corpses of the dead, so he quickly cuts off the stung hand. Large scorpions also start appearing around him. In his guards, giant humanoid monsters start wandering. Meanwhile, scorpions also appear around Gabamaru and Sajiri as they face a fish-headed monster known as the Blade Dragon. Unlike anyone in the 8 provinces, Tenzin used to seek men stronger than him to fight. When he finally stopped, his lord asked him to become an officer. The lord was a great man who took pride in his grand palace. His family crest made him a dragon too, so Tenzin agreed to work for him. But during a drinking session, the lord told him that he might be called a dragon but he could not kill a real dragon. Tenzin was insulted, so he cut the dragon on his lord's gate. For that, the entire lord's clan hunted him and he was sentenced to death. Once he received a pardon, he would be cleared of all charges. Then he planned to train again until he could split the lord's palace in two. The accompanying samurai comments that he does not understand and Tenzin responds that samurai are stranger for cutting people's heads. The samurai named Fuchi responds that decapitating is not the only thing his clan does. They also test swords and make medicines. They also dissect people to understand the human body and help develop medicine. He unsheathes his blade and points it at Tenzin, warning that he will not allow them to be insulted. And the two enter the forest. Fuchi asks Tenzin what he will do, and Tenzin explains that he will eliminate the competition, then he can take his time searching for the elixir and most importantly use his sword as he pleases. He thought he would have no opportunities to engage in exciting duels with strong individuals again in this peaceful world. Fuchi agrees with the plan and compares the mission to making poison from insects. The longer you wait, the stronger the remaining poisonous insects or convicts in this case become. However, he wonders if the plan will work when not all the poisonous insects are present. If the shogun runs out of patience, he will send the next batch of insects. That is how they ended up in their current situation where monsters start appearing one after another. Gabamaru wonders what kind of creature is in front of them now and has a fish head but also wears prayer beads around its 6 arms. Still, his instincts warn him that this creature, whatever it is dangerous. The fish monster breaks the prayer beads on its arm and attacks Gabamaru with its 6 fists. Gabamaru jumps over them and kicks the fish head. The fish manages to grab his feet and throw him to the ground. He stands again and remembers his master's teachings. Shinobi rule number 5, do not fight an unknown enemy. He wonders if he should just run or take Sajiri with him. Then the fish monster wraps its tail around Gabamaru and swings him around. It whips him down again and Sajiri checks his condition. She sees Gabamaru's hand bleeding and he tells Sajiri that they have to run now. Unfortunately for them, huge monsters with strange smiling faces start appearing all around. They are trapped. Gabamaru activates ninjutsu and starts attacking the monsters one by one. Sajiri is astonished by the supernatural scene in front of her. She wonders if they really are in heaven or a large monster slaps her, but she manages to dodge. An insect grabs her leg and the monster prepares to attack again. Gabamaru realizes Sajiri's situation, but tells himself he must focus on the enemies in front of him first. However, his body suddenly moves and saves Sajiri from the monster. They are about to be attacked again, but another Aseemon kills the monster that was attacking them. A new kunoichi woman arrives with 2 Aseemon following her. The woman introduces herself as Yuzuriha of the kunoichi. Gabamaru remembers his wife telling him to thank anyone who helps, so he thanks Yuzuriha. He asks why she helped them when they are supposed to be rivals. Yuzuriha approaches closer and tells him that he seems very reliable. He is still standing despite how much blood he has lost, and even saved Sajiri before. Yuzuriha teases Gabamaru's chest and says that she really is afraid of this dangerous place and will do anything he says as long as he protects her. Gabamaru grabs her arm and forces her to the ground, warning that he cannot be seduced. Yuzuriha sits up and apologizes, but says that her offer to work together is serious. 5 people are safer than 3. Sajiri asks why exactly Yuzuriha has 2 Aseemon with her. One of them, an Aseemon named Genji, explains that he was assigned to watch Mudan but he died when tricked by Yuzuriha. He decided that one handler was not enough to control her, so he chose to guard her too. Gabamaru and Sajiri stare at him. Sure, Yuzuriha just seduced him. The other Aseemon introduces himself as Senta. Yuzuriha says that they found bugs, monsters, and crazy statues on their way here. They know how dangerous this island is. Finding the elixir quickly is important, but there is no point rushing blindly and dying without a plan. Sajiri agrees that there is no problem working together as long as everyone consents. Yuzuriha responds happily to that and runs to hug Gabamaru, who pins her to the ground again. Gabamaru says that he cannot trust the kunoichi, but Yuzuriha smiles and suddenly pulls him to the ground too. Then she says that there is no trust, they can betray each other any time, even if they find the elixir. Only one of them will be pardoned. She suggests they just use each other as much as possible. Gabamaru jumps away and Joseé returns with a mischievous look, begging him to join. She offers information in exchange for Gabamaru's strength. For example, they think the monsters are the threat, but the real danger is actually the bugs. Human-faced butterflies fly around the monsters, but their nests and behavior are unknown. Their shells seem to contain hallucinogens and poison. Curious, Gabamaru asks how she knows all this. Joseé explains that she approached Mudan and talked to him about it. She tested all this on him. The briars are gross, but they can surely be ignored. They only eat dead meat. There are other insects, too, but they do not attack unless you get close. Gabamaru asks what finally happened to Mudan. Joseé admits that she tricked his guard into pretending to be dead, then killed him. Senta also mentions that many items used by the monsters have Buddhist or Taoist designs. Buddhism and Taoism are different religious traditions, so it is strange to see them mixed together. The Buddhist statues are rare, too. He suspects that they really might be in paradise. Sajiri agrees. Although the monsters look fantastic, their anatomy and muscles seem like living creatures. Gabamaru asks Joseé why she seems so willing to reveal so much. Is she that desperate to survive? Joseé has suddenly become sad and reveals that she has a younger sister who is terminally ill and they cannot afford any medicine. She became kunoichi to earn money. She endured hellish training, but one day the village chief told her she could do nothing and betrayed her. Gabamaru tells her that if she is lying, she should shorten her story. Joseé realizes she has been exposed and says that she does not need a reason to want to stay alive. She just does not want to die while still young. Gabamaru has one last question for Joseé. What did she really do to Mudan? Joseé remembers leaving Mudan and flowers growing from him, but tells Gabamaru that she did nothing to him. He finally agrees to join them as long as he gets information, and they simply fight together, not cooperate fully. Joseé happily hugs him and thanks him, but Gabamaru pins her to the ground again, reminding her that he is married. Meanwhile, Sajiri, who had been observing them, slowly begins to feel sleepy. She reflects on her performance since arriving on the island. She lost her balance in front of the monsters before and feels very weak. Then she faints to the ground. Recently, a young man named Toma became retainer of the Yamada clan. Within a month of joining, he showed sword skill and his trainer tells him that he only needs to execute one criminal, and his name will be added to their ranks. Aizen wonders what criminal Toma should execute, but Toma speaks and says that he has a suggestion. Later, Toma walks down the row of prison cells and greets one of the inmates, the bandit king, Joseé. He tells Joseé that he came to rescue his older brother. He infiltrated the Yamada clan and rose to a high position in only a month to save him. Joseé also shares that he endured a month of torture at their hands. Joseé asks how they will get out since the judge's men will not give up easily. Toma smiles and says that there is already a way to make them stop pursuing them. Once they complete the shogun's mission, they can obtain a pardon. These days, Toma is Joseé's designated executioner. The two face their own group of monsters. Joseé happily attacks a monster while Toma praises his brother's quick reactions. He has always been like that. Even when the lord their father served committed a terrible act that ruined their plan. Even when their mother died and they lived in poverty. Even when their father was executed in revenge by his lord. Even when they were attacked by thieves, he responded to every situation and ended up taking control. Joseé became the bandit king until the day the police surrounded them. He told Toma to run and promised to save him later. Joseé's blade breaks after fighting a few monsters. More come, so he tells his brother that they will sneak away. They run and dash past the monsters blocking their way. Unfortunately, one grabs Toma by the hair. He reaches for his brother, who stops and looks back, but keeps running. Toma realizes that this too is the source of his brother's strength. He attacks the monster, holding his hair and declares that they will not leave him behind. The monster standing in front of him suddenly explodes as Joseé returns, now carrying his own weapons. A spear suddenly passes by Toma's cheek and grazes it and the monster speaks to them, saying, "Killing is a sin." The monsters begin to speak and surround them as the brothers are astonished by the sudden turn of events. Toma trembles in fear and wonders if they are not in paradise. But Joseé remembers how his life always seems affected by those who commit crimes, and shouts that he no longer cares and begins rampaging, killing all the monsters with his huge club. He declares that he will do what he wants. Toma watches his brother standing over a pile of corpses and appreciates how truly strong his brother is and remembers when they were children and Toma cried because they did not know what to do. But his brother calmed him and told him that he could just keep going. So Joseé tells Toma his plan. They will kill every monster and criminal on the island. Then they can drink the elixir themselves. Death will not tell them how to live elsewhere. Sajiri is carried by her companions. As they walk to the far side of the island, she dreams of her father looking at her with disappointment and tries to ask why, but only wakes up. Genji greets her and explains that she is currently in a cave on the island. She was poisoned by butterfly scales and lost consciousness. Sajiri stands up and Genji warns not to move because she is not well yet, but she says that she cannot. She has to keep her eyes on her prisoner outside. She is surprised to see the others sitting like camping and asks what they are doing. Gabamaru explains that he is making dinner. Senta repairs their torn clothes and Yuzuriha lies on a swing observing them. Now that Sajiri is awake, Senta suggests they review what they know together. They can eat the food Gabamaru prepared while talking. Yuzuriha gets angry when she sees the food, pointing out that it is kakaketsujin, a form of ninja rationing. Gabamaru explains that he made it from things in the area while collecting ingredients and that he has explored the whole island. Unfortunately, he saw nothing promising that might resemble the illustration of the elixir of life. Yuzuriha asks if he knows anything about the elixir of life. Gabamaru, thinking of the immortal chief of his village, decides to keep that information to himself and tells the others that it is the first time he hears of it. Gabamaru continues explaining that while collecting ingredients, he learned about the varied species of plants are mixed, but mostly ordinary plants from the continent. What caught his attention was several flowers that looked like samurai who had turned into flowers. So, where did the other samurai who were sent end up? He assumes that most of the plants on the island that they now see were those humans. The grim news crushes the group's morale and Yuzuriha throws the food she was eating at Gabamaru. He points out that he did not use those flowers to make the food. In any case, he found nothing resembling the mandarin fruit drawing they were given. Senta suggests that they should not focus so much on the drawing. The terms life, elixir, and paradise used by the shogun originally came from different cultural concepts. The scattered statues on the island strongly resemble Buddhist figures. Worrying about religious consistency might be a waste of time. What they should focus on are the statues themselves. Does the island have the technology to create stone statues? If so, who made them? Do they live here? Sajiri's opinion is that the island is too dangerous for people to live. The behavior and environment of the monsters and insects is mysterious. When she cut them, she felt as if they had flesh and bones, but no organs. Their appearance is strange, too. Parts of other animals are stacked on humanoid forms. Senta also notes that the items used by the monsters look poorly made. In other words, they are like deformed giants. They are terrifying, but also stupid. Gabamaru shares that creatures that can live without having members points to immortality, then shows them that the elixir might already be on the island. Senta agrees, saying that their only clue about the elixir are the monsters themselves. Later, Genji advises Sajiri that she should take a boat back to the continent. He can assume responsibility for her now that his own criminal is dead. He points out that Sajiri is first the daughter of the Yamada clan and second a woman. Her duty is to marry the next chief of the clan. In her current situation, she will die on the island. Does she have the strength to kill Gabamaru? Where is her sword? She is already using someone else's blade, not hers. Sajiri remembers how her own sword broke during her fight with Gabamaru. Genji tells her that the sword is the warrior's heart and that she has already lost the Yamada clan's heart. Senta joins the question and asks if they can return easily while the samurai who were sent have not returned even if they used a boat. He is not sure if they can escape. Meanwhile, a sailor named Tenza tries to flee the island in a boat with his criminal Narugai of Senka. Narugai doubts they can leave because the currents are against. Even if they manage to escape, he will be executed for failing to obtain the elixir. Tenza promises to speak to the shogun on her behalf. He promises to take her home among all the criminals involved. Narugai deserves to live more than the others. As he does, they finally see a large boat on the horizon. Tenza gets excited, but as it approaches, they see that it is actually the wreck of all the boats that came before. Then they see mysterious creatures lurking around the wrecks, so Tenza unsheathes his sword to defend them. Narugai scolds him because most animals are attracted to bright, aggressive things, but it is too late. A large claw attacks them and destroys their boat, leaving them stranded on the wreck. More claws start appearing around and they have to run while Tenza cuts any claw that approaches. Narugai remembers her grandfather's words to run because she is the last of the Senka line. She wonders if her current situation is punishment for what she did. In the past, Narugai offered to help a group of samurai who were lost in the mountains. The samurai instead asked if she was part of the Ainu and if possible wanted to rest in her village. However, the samurai massacred her entire village. It turns out Ainu is the term for those who refuse to submit to the shogun and live as unique cultures in the mountains. Under the current shogun's rule, they are considered rebels. After killing everyone, they captured Narugai, hoping to torture her to learn the locations of other villages. In prison, she was found by Tenza. He could not understand how an innocent boy should be executed, so he offered her a mission to join the expedition instead. In the present on the wreck, they are shocked to find another sailor, Kisho, who left after his charge was killed by Gabamaru. Kisho is now overgrown with flowers all over. Tenza wants to help him, but it was a trap set by the clawed beast. Seeing Kisho's dead body, Nirugai kneels and tells Tenza to run without her. She has already accepted her current state as punishment for killing her village. Tenza fights the clawed monster while trying to convince Nirugai to move. He tells her that he does not care about the village or her grandfather. What he wants to know is if Nirugai wants to die. Tears fill Nirugai's eyes as she remembers her grandfather and admits that she just wants to live and return to the mountains. Tenza hands her a sword and tells her that they must do anything to survive. He points to a usable boat nearby and tells her they must go there. After a long, grueling escape, the two limp to the shore, wounded, and support each other. They rest on the beach and think what to do next. Nirugai notes that the currents in the area probably all lead back to the island. Unless they find a current that leads out, they will not be able to return even with the elixir. The monsters are also different from those on the island. While Tenza tells Nirugai that since the boats carrying the samurai who turned into flowers have returned, there must be a current that leads out. As they wash, Tenza notes that Nirugai's figure looks feminine. Nirugai asks what he is talking about. She is obviously a girl. Tenza panics as Nirugai teases him and asks him to marry her. Meanwhile, Sajiri's conversation with Genji ends. Genji advises her to leave while Senta partially agrees. He actually wants Sajiri to stay in case Gabamaru needs to be stopped. He has noticed that Gabamaru seems different now than when they left, and even saved Sajiri. Sajiri thinks about it and remembers how Gabamaru helped her several times. Later that night, Sajiri goes to talk to Gabamaru, who was watching. Gabamaru asks how she feels because he thinks the insect poison worked fast due to the wound he gave her during their fight. Not only that, he thanks her for calming him. Rashness and randomness are dangerous, and if Iwagakure comes, he must prepare a counterattack. Sajiri is surprised by his determination and tells him that he is strong. However, Gabamaru points out that she is stronger than him. He does not know if it is technique or power, but she looks strong to him. The next morning, Genji asks Sajiri if she is ready to leave, but Sajiri tells him that she will not go. People mock a woman who carries a sword. Not only that, sometimes her father looked at her with disappointment. Everyone wants her to live as a woman, but if she lives as daughter of the throat-cutting hangman, strangers will despise her. If she lives as warrior of the Yamada clan, her family will avoid her. She cannot stand being seen only as a woman. She kneels and asks Genji to see her as a samurai and let her live her own way. Genji smiles and responds that this is not the samurai way of life. The island is a battlefield and no place for women and children. Genji attacks Sajiri with his sword, but to his surprise, Sajiri easily steals his weapon. He scolds her and recovers his sword. However, a shadow lurks behind Genji. It is Roarota. Genji pushes Sajiri away and unsheathes his sword, but Roarota is faster and hits him, cutting part of his abdomen. As a child, Roarota ate a lot while his parents watched happily. After his snack, it was playtime where he stacked stones. But after a few scenes, his parents appear soaked in blood. In the present, Roarota's attack sends Genji flying through the forest where he crashes into a tree. Sajiri runs to him and kneels beside him. She tells him that he needs medical attention immediately, but Genji weakly tells her that she must run. It is too late for him. When she looks back, Roarota is already over her, ready to grab her. Fortunately, Gabamaru appears and sends Roarota away after flying and kicking him in the face. Gabamaru asks who the enemy is because he was barely hurt despite the attack. Sajiri explains that it is Roarota, the bison giant. Aizen is supposed to guard him. Gabamaru recognizes that Roarota's eyes resemble predator eyes that have pinpointed their prey. He knows it will be hard to escape together, so he removes his mask and prepares to fight. He wonders how he should destroy Roarota since his previous kick was ineffective. Meanwhile, Roarota uproots a tree and throws it at Gabamaru. Gabamaru jumps over it while Sajiri covers the wounded Genji. Gabamaru knows he is physically outmatched. He calls to Yuzuriha, who is sitting in a nearby tree, and asks how long she plans to just sit and watch. He begs her to fight with him as she promised. However, Yuzuriha laughs and reminds him that their agreement was that she collects information while he fights. She starts cheering Gabamaru without intention to help. As the fight continues with Roarota swinging his giant arms at Gabamaru, Gabamaru dodges the attacks and realizes that Roarota's attacks and reflexes are fast. He can instinctively feel that defending against those grabs is impossible. Touching them would mean instant death. He decides to make it a long-range fight by planting his foot in the ground and throwing broken rocks at Roarota. Although the rocks break and pierce trees behind Roarota, the giant himself remains unharmed by the attack. Gabamaru concludes, projectiles are ineffective, so he pulls out his cloth belt and uses ninjutsu, the unmanifested blade. But even that immaterial blade comparable to steel cannot cut Roarota's skin. He goes through his list of ninjutsu, but all seem ineffective against the giant. Meanwhile, Sajiri tries to treat Genji by wrapping his wound with bandages, but the blood soaks them, and Genji tells her that it is useless. She must run. Sajiri stubbornly refuses and tells Genji that he can survive if they can stop the bleeding. Genji tells Sajiri that she is a strange person. Moments ago, she boasted like a man, but now he can feel womanly affection in her. Sajiri cries that there is no man or woman now. Genji finally smiles and understands Sajiri's mind. Instead of dividing everything into two, like man or woman, strong or weak, she accepts opposing concepts as part of herself. Her conviction is the middle path. Genji offers his sword and reminds her that a warrior's sword is their spirit. Perhaps Roarota already killed Aizen. If she is a samurai, Genji will not ask her to run anymore. He begs her to kill Roarota. Sajiri accepts his sword. Meanwhile, Gabamaru is still analyzing his opponent. Close combat is too dangerous, but projectiles are ineffective. If he had a chance to use his ascending flame ninjutsu, he might have a chance to fight, but Roarota would crush him like an insect if he gets close. If it were 2 against 1, they could find a blind spot. Suddenly, Roarota screams in pain as his pinky finger is cut off. Sajiri arrived and tells Gabamaru that if someone inserts their blade into the joint of muscles, tendons, and bones, they can cut even the strongest bodies, understanding the opponent's body structure and striking the gaps. This is the Yamada Asiman style. She brandishes her sword and joins Gabamaru. Senta, who is observing with Yuzuriha, announces that he wants to go treat his comrade Genji's wound. However, Yuzuriha points out that it is already too late for Genji. Most importantly, no monster has come near despite the noise they are making. As such, it is better to keep observing them. Sajiri notes that Roarota has already stopped the bleeding from his fingers, which makes Gabamaru deduce that they need a single killing blow. If they want to win, they must aim for the gaps between his bones and cut his head. The only problem is that Roarota's neck is very high, so they need to make him kneel. Gabamaru suggests that Sajiri cut Roarota's legs from his blind spot to make him kneel. Meanwhile, he will handle Roarota's attacks. The next time Roarota attacks them, Gabamaru blocks his fist with his kicks while Sajiri lunges at his back. Her master Aizen's face flashes in her mind, and she cuts Roarota's legs in anger. To her surprise, her blade does not cut through his legs. He recoils as Roarota swings his arm toward her. Gabamaru asks if she is okay and Sajiri notes that if she attacks too hard, just like before, she will hurt herself. She needs to stay calm, put her feelings aside, and use only reason. They repeat their plan. Once Roarota attacks, Gabamaru dodges when he notes that his leg has been wounded. It must have worn it down before while avoiding Roarota's blows. Meanwhile, Sajiri attacks again, trying to remain calm, but her blade still bounces off Roarota's arm. She tells Gabamaru that cutting through Roarota's bones while he is raging will be difficult. Roarota's movements close the gaps between his bones and leave no space for her blade to penetrate his body, and heads are usually cut from people who bow their heads, so killing Roarota with one blow would require him to bow. They are thinking about their next attack when suddenly Roarota's stomach rumbles. Then he starts screaming so loud that everyone nearby has to cover their ears. That distracts Gabamaru enough that he does not notice Roarota's next attack and takes a full hit, falling to the ground. Gabamaru gets up from the rubble. He managed to take the attack, but starts vomiting a lot of blood and collapses to his knees. Roarota attacks the wounded Gabamaru again, forcing Sajiri to jump in front of him. She remembers Genji's words about her conviction being the middle path and realizes that instead of rejecting her emotions and using logic alone, she can accept both conflicting things as they are. That leaves her calm and block Roarota's blow with her sword. Her feelings become strength, but she uses reason to keep her aim the middle path. Gabamaru's eyes widen when he sees Sajiri's power. Senta, who has been observing the fight, also comments that Sajiri's usual rank would be 12, but the clan's ranking is not determined by skill alone. They are assigned based on suitability to lead the clan. So, Sajiri lost rank simply because she is a woman. In raw skill, her sword skill is better than first class. Genji also notes that Sajiri might fear the island's monsters, but as an executioner facing a criminal, she shows no fear. Sajiri continues fending off Roarota's attacks until Roarota stumbles accidentally on soft ground. Sajiri quickly takes the opportunity to go behind him and cut his neck. However, Roarota jumps into the air and retreats before she can do it. Fortunately, Gabamaru has a new idea to keep Roarota's head low. Although his idea might be a bit extreme, Gabamaru realizes that his only option to defeat Roarota is to cut his head, but that requires more than exceptional physical skill. It needs skills from the Yamada clan. The clan specializes in decapitations. Gabamaru steps forward and activates his ninjutsu again, enveloping his body in flames. Seeing this new development, Yuzuriha quickly stands up and tells Senta that they need to retreat. Gabamaru starts attacking Roarota again with stone projectiles, but this time he wraps them in fire. Roarota bats them aside across the battlefield. He also throws a fireball directly at Roarota, who deflects it and sends it to a nearby tree. Gabamaru continues assaulting him with flaming attacks that spread everywhere. Sajiri then tells him that it should be enough and anything more would be reckless. The flames are starting to spread now and Yuzuriha tries to escape. The blazing Senta says that Gabamaru is not just trying to kill Roarota now, he is planning to burn the entire area. They plan to use the smoke from the oils in the raw wood igniting branches and leaves in fire. They can fill the upper area with smoke immediately. And if Roarota keeps raging and crying, he will run out of oxygen and inhale a lot of smoke. Then the poison in the smoke will make him lose consciousness. In other words, the carbon monoxide in the smoke will bind with the hemoglobin in the blood, quickly causing the entire body to be deprived of oxygen. Gabamaru also suggests that Sajiri stay low to avoid inhaling the smoke. When Roarota finally collapses to his knees, vomiting and coughing from the smoke, Sajiri stands over him with her sword raised. He tries to slap her away, but his hand is stopped and held by Gabamaru. He shouts to Sajiri to cut Roarata's neck now because he will not last long in a strength duel. Sajiri calmly studies Roarata's neck and pinpoints the gap between his bones. She inhales and in a swift movement brings her sword down through his neck. Before he dies, Roarata's life flashes before his eyes. He was just a huge hungry boy who destroyed everything he touched because of his enormous strength. Once when he was hungry, he accidentally slapped his parents and killed them instantly. He never understood why he was always hungry or why no one wanted to play with him. Sajiri apologizes to Roarota for scaring him and letting him loose in a frenzy. She understands that he was just misunderstood and gently caresses his cheek. Then she closes the eyes of his severed head and wishes that he rest in peace. Meanwhile, Gabamaru tells her that they have to go now because the fire is growing stronger and might attract the area's monsters. Sajiri takes one last look at Genji and flees with Gabamaru. Memories of her training and Genji's lessons flash through her mind. Later, when they are far from the fire, Gabamaru and Sajiri hide in some bushes and observe monsters wandering toward the flames. They confuse him because animals usually instinctively avoid fire. Gabamaru sighs and suggests they head in the direction from where the monsters came. It might be dangerous, but they have no choice. The monster's environment is their only guide to the elixir. Gabamaru also asks if she is not worried about the safety of her fellow executioners, but Sajiri remembers that everyone accepted this mission knowing it might kill them. So, it would be disrespectful to worry too much about them. If she really is worried, she should just find the elixir so everyone ends the mission. As they go deeper into the forest, they see the silhouettes of Yuzuriha and Senta. Gabamaru was about to scold them for not helping when he finally sees what they are looking at. They are the remains of a village. Senta comments that if this place truly is Shinsenkyo, the monks probably lived in that village. Elsewhere in the forest, Chobei and Toma are killing their share of monsters. Chobei drinks monster blood to restore his energy while Toma asks about the monks he mentioned before. Toma explains that the monks are a class of supernatural being according to Taoist philosophy. They resemble old men who chant strange spells and are rumored to be immortal. Supposedly, they were the ones who lived in Shinsenkyo, not the monsters they are fighting now. Then Chobei senses someone approaching, and when they go to see, they see two people sitting and eating on a pile of ruins.
On his first day of high school, seniors bully him for his low force value. Sun Rong, a powerful student, saves him with a fire attack and promises to protect him. Wang simply hands her money and walks away. The principal announces an entrance exam to measure spirit force for placement in the elite class. The test involves hitting the spirit of the giant frog Wang previously defeated. Most students fail, but Chen Ko scores a 938, and Sun Rong scores over 2,000. When it is Wang Ling's turn, the frog recognizes him and is terrified. Wang tries to suppress his power, but the frog feigns death from fear before he even touches it. Wang's score breaks the display, but the examiners assume it is a malfunction and place him in the elite class anyway. In the first class, the teacher instructs the students on summoning creatures from other dimensions. Chen Ko tries to show off but fails, while Sun Rong summons a spirit dog. When Wang Ling attempts to summon, he accidentally brings forth the giant frog again. The frog begs for mercy, terrified of Wang. To save the situation, the teacher uses magic to transform the frog into a harmless puppy. Wang tries to leave quietly, reflecting on his difficult childhood where he had to read his parents' minds and solve their conflicts. Flashbacks reveal that Wang's power is so volatile that his father created a seal to suppress it, and he takes golden pills to keep his strength in check. Without these measures, a simple touch could break bones or cause explosions. Back at school, the students are voting for class president. A wealthy associate buys out the school store to bribe students into voting for Sun Rong. Wang Ling trades his votes for free instant noodles. Sun Rong uses a charm spell to ensure the other students vote for her, but Wang Ling is immune to her magic. He leaves a golden pill as payment for the noodles and walks away, leaving Sun Rong confused about why her powers did not affect him. Sun Rong mistakenly believes Wang Ling has feelings for her. When Wang asks if she received the golden pill, she assumes he wants her to eat it. Upon swallowing the pill, her spiritual pressure is suppressed, which immediately breaks the charm spell she had unintentionally cast on the other students. The teacher then calls Sun forward to demonstrate her seduction art spell. As she walks, she slips on a can. Wang Ling steps forward, but instead of catching her, he knocks her to the ground. The teacher attempts to cast the same spell on Wang, but it affects Sun instead. The teacher subsequently appoints Chan as the class president, and Wang leaves. That night, Sun wonders why Wang helped her and cannot get him out of her mind. The next morning, Chan arrives at school with a massive pot for the pill refinery test, hoping to impress Sun. However, Sun arrives in a limousine accompanied by a marching band and a large crowd. Chan greets her, but she ignores him and calls out for Wang Ling. Wang realizes she is still under the influence of the spell, so he approaches her and breaks it instantly, causing Sun to blush. In the classroom, the teacher explains the golden pill refinement process rapidly, confusing the student. During the practical application, Sun uses a refining machine, Wang uses a microwave, and Hao uses an automatic magic tool. Chan attempts to use his family's large pot, but it explodes in his face, sending him running away in tears. The teacher announces that the process will take 7 hours and leaves the room. Wang's spirit beast, Froggy 2, attempts to consume Hao's magic tool to regain power. Wang intervenes, and when the frog tries to trick him, Wang kicks it away. Meanwhile, Chan is running in panic because he destroyed his family's heirloom pot. Wang takes Hao's furnace to clean it, but Hao misunderstands the action as theft. Hao fires a poison gun at Wang. Wang dodges the attack, and the poison hits Chan, who had just returned. Chan hallucinates before collapsing. Hao is terrified and asks Wang to help create an antidote. They begin the process but realize it will take 4 hours, while the teacher is due back in 2. When Froggy 2 tries to eat the pot again, they discover the beast has the power to accelerate time. They use the frog to speed up the furnace's operation. After testing the antidote on the frog, they administer it to Chan. The teacher returns, and Hao attempts to distract her, fearing failure. The teacher ignores him and opens his furnace. To everyone's surprise, a completed golden pill emerges. Hao mistakenly believes that Wang Ling sacrificed his own grade by placing the perfect pill in Hao's furnace and leaving a burnt one in the microwave. He views Wang as a loyal friend, but in reality, Wang had simply washed the dishes, and the pill formed on its own. While the microwave failed to produce a pill, Wang had repaired Chan's family heirloom. When Chan wakes up and sees his repaired pot, Hao tells him to thank Wang, and Chan hugs him in gratitude. The next day, Sun Rong asks Wang out on a date. 2 assassins attempt to shoot Sun from a distance, but Wang detects the bullets and deflects them with his powers. Immediately after, General Zhuo calls Wang to his office. Wang agrees to go with the teacher, but Sun misunderstands and believes he agreed to the date. Rumors quickly spread that Sun is dating a student with a low force value. In the office, General Zhuo dismisses the other teacher and asks Wang if he is the child who defeated the Demon King years ago. When Zhuo kneels and pledges loyalty, Wang uses magic to erase his memory and leaves. Later, Wang's parents force him out of the house to attend the date. Sun picks him up in a limo and takes him to a private amusement park owned by her family. She dismisses her bodyguards to be alone with him. but the assassins attack again. One assassin shoots at them, but Wang catches the bullet with his teeth and redirects it back into the gun. Sun witnesses this, so Wang erases her memory. As the date continues, the assassins repeatedly attack, and Wang repeatedly saves Sun while erasing her memory each time. The assassins become confused by the inexplicable resistance. At night, the pair rides a Ferris wheel. The assassins corner them at the top, holding Sun at gunpoint. Sun tries to protect Wang, but he stands up and uses his power to blow one assassin away and throw the other out of the cart. He disguises the attack as fireworks. Wang decides not to erase Sun's memory this time and asks her to keep his true strength a secret. The following day, General Zhuo tells Sun that he was the one who captured the assassins, as Wang had altered his memory to take the credit. The assassin organization realizes their plan failed. Despite increased security at the school, two ninjas, Zhu Fang and Zhu Yang, infiltrate the grounds. Zhu Fang incapacitates guards with a rubber toy, while Zhu Yang throws the bodyguards out of the hallway windows. Sun's teacher uses a square formation attack against the ninjas, but the impact nearly collapses the wall. Meanwhile, Wang Ling receives a notification that free noodles will be delivered to him by drone in 15 minutes. The teacher attacks the ninja Zhu Kang with dual expanding weapons, but Zhu Kang breaks them with his bare hands. Another ninja, Zhu Ying, attempts to flee using poison but crashes into a door. Outside, the ninja Zhu Fang sees Wang's dog, Froggy, and tries to touch it. Froggy bites him, draining his spiritual force and life energy. Froggy then transforms into his elven form and breaks Zhu Fang's wrists. Another ninja, Joseé, charges a massive hammer attack intended to destroy the school. Wang Ling walks out to collect his delivery, confusing the ninja. Joseé attacks Wang with full force, but the hammer shatters upon impact, and the recoil damages the ninja's internal organs. General Zhuo arrives and recognizes Wang, but Wang uses a spell to alter Zhuo's memory, making him believe he defeated the enemies himself. To maintain his cover, Wang pretends to be injured for 10 days. Sun Rong sends doctors and a healing machine to his home. When Sun visits and prepares to give him a large injection, Wang immediately stops pretending to be sick to avoid the needle. The students then participate in a test to visualize their spiritual force. At the rival school, Faction 59, a student named Tank summons a laser tank and scores 1950. At Wang's school, Hao performs poorly, while Sun Rong ranks second. Wang Ling attempts to hold back but creates a sphere the size of Earth in space. The system displays a null error but ranks him first. Hao attempts to hack the system to change his score, but cannot guess the password until Wang reveals it is 8 stars. Upon accessing the system, Hao sees Tank's name on the leaderboard and changes it to Tank Birdie as revenge for past bullying. The students at Faction 59 laugh when they see the name change. The teachers review the rankings and are surprised to see Wang at the top. They prepare for the sword competition against Faction 59, a rival they have lost to 23 times. Needing a 5th team member, Master Zhu suggests Wang's dog. Froggy takes the test, scores 5,000, and joins the team. The students are given 3 days to prepare their spirit swords. Sun Rong reveals she possesses 13 high-quality backup swords. Wang goes to his basement to retrieve his sword, but its power is so intense he quickly reseals it. At Faction 59, Tank reveals their secret weapon is a violent student named Bu Fang. The next day, Wang shows his friends a small sword, and the group departs for Faction 59, with the teachers noting that Wang brought no luggage. Wang Ling plans to intentionally lose the competition so he can return home. During the bus ride, the spirit of his sword attempts to escape, but Wang repeatedly forces it back. Upon arriving at Faction 59, Director Mrs. J insults Teacher Pan and his students. To test their strength, she attacks Wang. Wang falls to the ground feigning injury, but his amulet actually shatters, causing a massive explosion of fire from his body. His sword spirit chastises him for suppressing it instead of listening to its warnings. Wang is taken to the medical room for treatment. Sun Rong attempts to follow him but is blocked by Tank, whom she punches in frustration. Realizing his seal is breaking, Wang calls his father for urgent help and escapes the medical room. In the gym, the rules of the competition are explained. Bu Feng enters and harasses Sun Rong. Chan intervenes to defend her but is severely beaten and thrown by Bu Feng. Wang steps in, catches Chan, and heals his injuries while completely ignoring Bu Feng's attacks. Later, Wang wanders off to find Noodles. Zhang, the leader of the Shadow faction, is disguised as a cleaner. Bu Feng approaches her and is rude when she rejects his advances. Zhang easily overpowers him with an invisible strike. She binds both Bu Feng and Wang and throws them onto the roof. An old man arrives to assist Zhang. Wang's anger nearly causes a catastrophic release of power, but his spirit calms him down by mentioning that free noodles are being distributed. The old man takes hair from Bu Feng to allow Zhang to impersonate him. Zhang returns to the students disguised as Bu Feng and claims that Wang has been kidnapped. On the roof, the real Bu Feng tries to bargain with the old man to save his life, but the old man ignores him. Sun Rong refuses to be evacuated by her bodyguards and leads her friends to rescue Wang. As they approach, the old man kicks Bu Feng off the roof. Sun sees Wang tied to a cross. Her bodyguards attack the old man, but he defeats them all with a single blow. The old man summons a circle of knights using a beam of light. Sun Rong destroys the circle and attacks with spirits, but the old man overpowers her using gravity. Suddenly, time rewinds, revealing that Wang Ling has reversed the events. Wang frees himself and ties the old man to a pole. Master Zuo arrives and takes credit for the victory. Zhang, the Shadow faction leader, watches in rage but is unable to act due to the arrival of the Immortals. The competition begins with strict rules prohibiting phones and limiting flight height. Wang's father arrives too late to replace Wang's breaking amulet. Inside the arena, Isha from Faction 59 is unable to locate Bu Feng's spiritual signature because Zhang is impersonating him. Tang warns her to be careful. Tang attacks Hao, but allows him to escape to focus on the objective. Liang encounters Hao and Wang Ling. He ignores Wang, assuming he is weak, and proceeds to capture an altar. Meanwhile, Chan attempts to capture an altar, but Isha uses a spell to control his nervous system, forcing him to attack himself. Elsewhere, Froggy fights the fake Bu Feng, absorbing some of his energy before hiding. Wang Ling stands up as Liang attacks, but Hao intercepts the strike. Sun Rong engages Tank, using her sword spirit. Tank deflects her attacks and Faction 59 successfully captures 3 altars. When the fake Bu Feng claims to have defeated Froggy, Sun questions how he knew Froggy's location, but Tank covers for him. The tank uses ice powers to freeze the surrounding area. Just as Bu Feng prepares to ambush Sun, a massive surge of wind from Wang interrupts them, allowing Sun to escape. Faction 59 captures another altar, but the score shifts when Faction 60 secures one. Wang Ling intentionally releases his unstable energy, which Froggy absorbs to help him control. This results in them merging into a human beast form. Wang uses this power to instantly capture an altar. He then assists Chan in capturing another, bringing the score to 3-2. However, Faction 59 quickly recaptures their lost points, making the score 4-1. Wang realizes they must capture all 5 altars simultaneously to win. Sun rallies the team, identifying Wang as their tactical advantage, and they prepare to execute a synchronized defense. Sun and Hao approach the fire altar. Hao attempts to distract the opponent while Sun tries to capture the altar from behind, but they fail when Hao accidentally knocks Sun over. Tank arrives, breaks through Hao's defenses, and shatters Sun's sword spirit. Tank reveals his strategy. Isha has been assigned to distract Wang Ling, leaving the rest of the team to defeat Sun and her friends. Meanwhile, Chan fights Bu Feng. Despite being insulted and attacked with metal leaves, Chan recalls his father's harsh words and refuses to give up, dodging Zhang's attacks. Back at the altar, Sun sacrifices her sword spirit to summon Hao's fire phoenix, causing a massive explosion. Chan, refusing to accept defeat, rises with renewed strength. Zhang, enraged, attacks him in her true form. Isha realizes that the Wang Ling she was monitoring was actually Froggy in disguise. Her tracking abilities failed because they do not work on animals. Taking advantage of this, the real Wang Ling captures the wood altar. Wang proceeds to capture another altar but struggles to control his immense power. His suppressed emotions, triggered by his bond with his friends, threaten to release his negative energy. Sun intervenes, calming him down, and Wang regains control. However, Yang suddenly attacks and extracts Sun's soul from her body. Wang attempts to catch it, but fails. Enraged, Wang breaks his seal. Froggy freezes time to stop him, but Wang breaks through the time stop and brutally attacks Zhang. He beats her into the ground and prepares a devastating attack that threatens to destroy the world. Zhang claims they are alike, causing Wang to hesitate. He rushes to Sun's side to revive her, but his powers fail. Froggy explains that the sun is dead and only warm due to the time stop. Desperate, Wang considers resetting the timeline to save her. Wangling attempts to alter the past to change the future, despite Froggy's warning that it violates the laws of nature. They merge powers and create a new timeline. In this alternate world, Wang is bullied, but this time Chan and Hao save him instead of Sun Rong. Wang pays them, but feels a sense of loss. He hallucinates, mistaking strangers for Sun Rong. However, this new world is unstable and begins absorbing the old one. In the underworld, the monarch analyzes Sun Rong's soul and discovers a 99% DNA match with the Master. Realizing that Wang Ling will destroy all three worlds if Sun remains dead, the underworld authorities urgently send her soul back to the living world. Sun Rong returns and learns from the sword spirit that Wang created this unstable world for her. She enters Wang's fabricated reality and finds him weeping. To restore the timeline, she attacks him, plunging a sword into him to trigger his memories. Wang remembers everything, and the alternate world shatters. Time rewinds to the moment before Zhang transformed at the tournament. Wang anticipates her move and slaps her into the ground, instantly capturing the final altar and securing victory for Faction 60. Froggy explains that to fully restore the timeline, the tear in space-time must be repaired, which requires Sun Rong to lose her memories of the alternate timeline. Sun accepts this sacrifice to save the world. Wang uses his powers to finalize the reset. In the present, Wang's father arrives with a new amulet to suppress Wang's power and emotions once again.
Sheena was an orphan who lost his life in an unexpected accident. Instead of dying for good, he was reborn in another world. Not long after, 7 gods appeared and gave him a special leveling system as compensation for his fate. This system allowed him to grow stronger much faster than normal humans. With these new stats, Shay began his new life, unaware that even a simple walk home would mark the start of his rise in this unfamiliar world. One normal day, chaos suddenly broke out near a shop. A criminal appeared. Instead of running away like a sensible human being, Sheena charged straight at the guy and shouted for the girls to escape. They survived. Sheena didn't. As he lay there bleeding, his vision fading, he felt happy knowing the girls were safe. Soon, darkness swallowed his consciousness. Sheena opened his eyes inside a strange, quiet room. A maid suddenly burst into tears, calling him Cain. Before he could process that, a woman rushed over and hugged him tightly, asking if he remembered his mother. Cain was completely confused, but one look at the mirror sent him into full panic mode. He wasn't Sheena anymore. He was a child. After being unconscious for a week, everyone believed his memory loss was just a fever effect. His mother asked the maid, Sylvia, to prepare soup and left the room. Alone again, Cain stared at his tiny hands and wondered if he had just become an anime protagonist. At this point, the anime gods were definitely smirking. He searched the room, hoping to find some legendary weapon, but all he found was baby furniture. Even worse, Sylvia thought he had wet himself. Cain, however, cried for a different reason, the tragic loss of his manhood. While acting innocent, Cain carefully gathered information. His new name was Cain von Silford, a 3-year-old noble. His father, Garm, was a powerful margrave who commanded armies to protect the kingdom from monster-filled forests. His mother was Sarah, and he had siblings, including a sister named Rain. When Cain heard about monsters and magic, his excitement exploded. Real monsters. Real magic. No exams. Perfect world. Sylvia promised to teach him magic if he learned how to read, so Cain started studying immediately. For the first time, he felt like he truly belonged somewhere. In his past life, he had lost his parents and even his grandfather. This new world gave him a family, warmth, and a future. During dinner, Cain shocked everyone by showing he could read, write, and even do math. His parents were stunned, calling him a genius. Cain casually praised Sylvia as the best maid ever, which somehow made the room more awkward than it should have been. Garm allowed Cain to read his magic books but warned him that magic use was only possible after baptism at age 5. Cain nodded obediently, while secretly already casting spells. Yes, the rules politely asked him to wait. He politely ignored them. When he tried casting stronger magic, the power went wild, burning his hands and nearly spiraling out of control. Cain realized he had insane potential. His inner edgelord was already smiling. Rain later sneaked into his room, claiming she knew all his secrets. Thankfully, her investigation was terrible, and Cain easily played along. She ended up teaching him about the outside world and legendary adventurers instead. 2 years passed quickly, and the day of Cain's baptism finally arrived. Dressed neatly, he traveled through the town with his family. Seeing the medieval streets for the first time filled him with awe. At the church, the ritual began. Suddenly, the statues of the gods shined brightly, and Cain was pulled into a divine space. Standing before him were the 7 gods. They called him by his original name, Sheena, explaining that his death was an accident caused by his selfless act. Since he died doing good, they decided to reincarnate him and grant him blessings. Each god gave him incredible powers: magic mastery, combat strength, intelligence, wealth abilities, and even development powers. Basically, they turned him into a walking cheat code. When Cain returned, the priest was speechless. Something felt wrong, so Cain secretly checked his status. Every blessing was level 10, far beyond what should be possible. Panicking, he used a special concealment ability to hide his true power. Later that night, Cain finally revealed his status. Even then, it was overwhelming. His father immediately ordered him to keep his strength secret. That night, while alone, Cain attempted summoning magic for the first time, hoping for something cute. Instead, a massive monster appeared. His sister screamed. Fear flooded the room. Cain remembered his past life and made a promise. This time, he wouldn't let anyone he cared about cry again. Cain burns through every drop of energy in his body and releases a powerful spell. As his vision fades, he notices fluffy cat ears nearby and sadly wishes he could have touched them just once. More than anything, he hopes he didn't make anyone cry again. A few minutes later, Cain opens his eyes. He's alive. This time, the people he tried to protect are smiling instead of crying. In that moment, Cain realizes something important. His powers aren't a curse. They can actually save lives. During his birthday ceremony, his father asks what he wants to become in the future. Cain answers without hesitation. He wants to travel the world, help people in need, and protect everyone's smiles. To do that, he decides to become an adventurer. Hearing his son's determination, Garm agrees to hire personal tutors. Cain waits excitedly in his room, wondering what they'll be like. When they finally arrive, he rushes to the window and accidentally teleports outside. After apologizing, the butler introduces his tutors, Millie, a warrior, and Nina, an elf mage. Inside the mansion, Millie struggles to focus on teaching because her thoughts are absolutely not appropriate for a professional setting. Cain, meanwhile, is busy being amazed that Nina is an elf. Lessons begin immediately. In the training area, Cain shows off his sword skills, shocking Millie. She challenges him to a mock duel, and Cain instantly rushes her. She barely blocks his strike and realizes something is very wrong. Nina wonders if Cain has received the war god's blessing. Cain accidentally confirms it. Millie panics and begs Nina to switch to magic training before Cain accidentally sends her flying through a wall. Nina reveals she has a level 3 magic blessing. Cain responds by casually casting spells from every element, smashing stone targets with ridiculous power. At this point, both tutors realize they might be the ones being trained. When Cain casually pulls a towel from his item box, the final hope disappears. Teaching him inside the mansion is no longer an option unless they want the house turned into rubble. Kane suggests training outside, and his tutors agree. After explaining the situation to Garm, he reluctantly allows Kane to leave the mansion, with one strict rule: never enter the forest. Kane promises and they head out. Magic training begins. Nina asks Kane to show intermediate-level magic. Kane casts a fire spell that creates a massive crater. The tutors wonder if he's exhausted. Kane laughs, completely fine. Not even breathing hard. Suddenly, a monster rabbit jumps out of the bushes and attacks Millie. It misses and charges Kane instead. Kane calmly dodges and defeats it with air bullets. When asked if he'll sell the monster drops, Kane decides to store them in his item box to show his family later. Nina uses a detection spell to scan nearby monsters. Kane thinks it's cool and copies it instantly, not only detecting monsters but counting them exactly. Nina is stunned. Millie quietly accepts defeat as a teacher. They defeat the rabbits together, but one escapes toward the forest. Kane tries to chase it, but Millie warns him never to enter the forest. Legendary monsters live there, and every few decades, they attempt to invade the city. Kane understands, but secretly dreams of exploring it one day. That night, Kane discovers he reached level 8 just from fighting rabbits. Investigating further, he learns that his chosen by the gods title grants him 100 times more experience and ability points. His strength is already far beyond normal humans, and Kane realizes that if this continues, the entire nation may see him as a threat. Months later, Millie takes Kane to the Adventurers Guild to face stronger enemies. While requesting quests, a group of rude adventurers begins mocking Millie and Nina for babysitting a child. One man crosses the line and grabs Nina. Kane steps in, calmly telling him to stop. Millie begs Kane to run, but Kane decides it's time for practical training. He strikes the man down effortlessly. When the attacker pulls a knife and attacks at high speed, Kane dodges every move, even stopping the blade with his fingers. The fight ends instantly, and the troublemakers are thrown out. Nina hugs Kane afterward, promising she'll protect him next time. She knows it's a lie, but it's the thought that counts. Years pass. Kane grows into a tall, charming young man. One day, Sylvia informs him that his final lesson with his tutors is approaching. Wanting to thank them properly, Kane remembers Millie's dream of owning a magic bag. That night, Kane sneaks deep into the forbidden forest. He defeats a blood ogre, then an earth dragon. Guards panic, believing a monster rampage has begun. The army mobilizes, led by Garm himself. Kane finishes collecting materials and teleports away, accidentally leaving behind his towel. When Garm arrives and sees the battlefield cleared, and that towel, his soul nearly leaves his body. On Kane's final day of tutoring, Millie and Nina feel both proud and sad. They congratulate him on graduating after 3 years of hard work. Kane thanks them and gifts each of them a magic bag he personally crafted. He casually explains that it doesn't hold much. Just an entire mansion. Millie nearly faints.
What? Hold on! The magic bag!
Kane reassures them that the bags are enchanted. Anyone else who tries to steal them will feel their true weight. Overwhelmed, Millie and Nina kneel in gratitude. Kane panics. That's not fair. That's not fair at all. Before leaving, Millie and Nina tell Kane that no matter where life takes him, he can always rely on them. Their contract ends that day, and as they walk away, Kane feels like he's taken another step toward adulthood. A few months later, deep inside a dark cave, Kane faces a massive red dragon. With a single strike, the creature collapses instantly. Checking his status, Kane realizes his magic power has crossed 80 million, and he earns a new title, Dragon Slayer. 2 years pass. Kane turns 10 and prepares to attend a noble celebration in the capital. The journey will take a full week, assuming monsters don't interfere. Just to be safe, Kane scans a 3-kilometer area and discovers soldiers being ambushed ahead. He urges his father to hurry, but the carriage is too slow. So Kane does the logical thing. He jumps out like a flying hero, activates wind magic, and rushes forward at insane speed. The soldiers are moments away from death when Kane arrives, cutting down monsters midair. Using wind blades, he wipes out the enemies with ease. A few beasts charge toward the carriage, but Cain summons his sword and ends them with one swing. The monster leader appears next, but Cain dodges, launches into the sky, coats his blade in fire, and finishes it instantly. A wounded soldier tells him to stay back, but Cain introduces himself as Garm's son. Garm's forces arrive and realize they were completely unnecessary. Several soldiers collapse from blood loss, but Cain activates healing magic, restoring everyone instantly. When Garm finally reaches the scene, he notices the royal crest on one of the carriages. Two girls step out, Princess Talisa and Silk, the Duke's daughter. They thank Garm for saving them, but he explains it was actually Cain. Talisa nearly faints, so Cain gently uses a calming spell to ease her fear. Unfortunately, the spell works a little too well. Silk grabs Cain's hand, calling him the greatest swordsman she's ever seen. Talisa immediately declares that Cain belongs to her. The two start arguing and drag him into their carriage, right in front of his stunned father. Inside the luxurious carriage, Cain wonders why they're sitting so close. Talisa admits she's scared to let him go, and Silk agrees. His calming spell backfired badly.
But why? We only just met today.
At the rest stop, Cain tries to escape, but the girls insist on staying near him, claiming they're traumatized. Garm objects, but the girls say only Cain makes them feel safe. Garm gives up. He's fought monsters, not this. Cain agrees to stay only if the beds are kept far apart. They move the beds together. Still not close enough. Cain becomes a human body pillow. At age 10, Cain accidentally creates a mini harem and immediately regrets every life choice he's ever made.
Sleep as close as you want. Yippee! But
He gets zero sleep. After several exhausting days, they finally reach the capital. Knights welcome Cain with deep respect, already aware of his heroics. Using his item box, Cain returns the bodies of fallen soldiers to their families. Before he can escape, Cain is summoned to meet the king. Inside the throne room, nobles gather as Cain bows respectfully. The king praises him for saving Princess Talisa and Silk from over 50 orcs. As a reward, Cain is granted a mansion, 10 platinum coins, and the honorary title of Baron. Some nobles protest, especially one loud man. The king shuts him down instantly, stating the kingdom needs more knights like Cain. The decision stands. Cain humbly accepts, thinking it's finally over. It's not. The king asks to speak privately. Along with Talisa and Silk, he explains that due to recent events, Cain will be engaged to both girls. Marriage will wait until adulthood, but their future is decided. This idea originally came from an investigation into Cain's identity, but both girls insisted on the engagement. The king wants Cain tied to the kingdom. Cain realizes this is the worst possible outcome. With no help from his father and no escape in sight, Cain reluctantly accepts. The girls happily remember the night they spent together. Cain tries to clarify it was a misunderstanding, but immediately regrets speaking. A few days later, Cain visits the royal church and meets the gods again. Xenon points out how absurd Cain's stats have become and offers to make him a demigod. Cain declines for now, understanding even power has limits. Xenon advises him to build strong bonds and asks Cain to create entertainment using knowledge from his previous life. Cain comes up with an idea for a game. Later, while shopping, Cain runs into Parma, the girl he saved years ago. Her uncle, Tanis, owns an antique shop. Cain asks him to treat him like a normal kid and requests a special order. He then pulls out blueprints. The idea for his first game is born. Cain explains his game idea to Tanis, who is instantly impressed by the concept. He believes the game has the potential to become extremely popular. Cain asks him to create a prototype and offers a full gold coin as payment. Tanis is shocked and refuses at first, saying the amount is far too much. Cain calmly tells him to think of it as an investment in their future partnership. After some hesitation, Tanis accepts and promises to make the best game board possible. Satisfied, Cain leaves the shop, only to walk straight into danger. Rain is furious. She demands to know why Cain disappeared without watching her try on clothes. Cain, without thinking, tells her she'd look the same in all of them anyway. Rain smiles sweetly, which is always a bad sign. She decides Cain needs education on how to talk to girls and spends the entire night forcing him to judge outfits. Thankfully, Sylvia arrives with good news. Tanis has finished the prototype. Back at the shop, Cain is amazed. The board looks exactly like the game he imagined. They spend the afternoon playing together, and Tanis becomes confident it will sell extremely well. Cain suggests producing two versions. A luxury version for nobles, a standard version for common people. Tanis worries his business can't afford such a large production. Cain responds by placing several gold coins on the table. Tanis immediately promises to start production before anyone can copy the idea. To protect the design, Cain presents the game to the god of commerce and forms a divine contract. The board glows with golden light, officially marking it as protected. Cain then makes another request, a special, elegant version for the royal family. Tanis is honored, and Parma is amazed by Cain's connections. Cain quietly suspects the gods are already enjoying the game themselves. The next day, Cain attends his noble debut ceremony. Garm warns him to be careful, as many parents may try to introduce their daughters. Cain confidently says he can handle it. Garm is suddenly worried. Inside the castle, Cain notices Cornigo again and immediately dislikes him. Silk reunites with her father, the Duke, who thanks Cain for saving her. Cain realizes this situation is about to become complicated. Trying to stay confident, Cain compliments Silk, praising her beauty and promising to protect her. The Duke's smile slowly disappears. Garm quickly steps in before Cain destroys any more relationships. The royal trumpets sound, announcing the king's arrival. Cain barely hears the speech, distracted by Princess Talisa's beauty. When Cain greets the king, he praises the princess respectfully, mostly. Realizing he's gone too far, Cain quickly apologizes and presents the king with a gift.
What is this?
A game that
The board game he helped develop. The king becomes interested and demands a private meeting later that night. Cain agrees, fearing for his life. Afterward, Garm asks when Cain became such a successful businessman. Cain casually says he needs income to maintain his new mansion. Garm accepts the insult with pride, reminding Cain to still make friends his own age. Moments later, Silk pulls Cain aside, clearly trying to keep Talisa away from him. Unfortunately, Cornego's children interrupt, mocking Silk. Cain steps in, defending her. Things escalate quickly. Magic is prepared, tensions rise, and Silk finally snaps. She reveals Cain's true status, a baron, son of a powerful margrave, and the hero who saved the princess. The bullies freeze. Realizing their mistake, they bow repeatedly and flee. Silk later admits Cain could have revealed everything from the start but chose not to. She promises to keep his secret if he agrees to go on a date with her. Before Cain can respond, Talisa appears and demands answers. Silk announces the date. Talisa becomes jealous and demands one as well. Cain, cornered, agrees. That's when the king shows up. After hearing everything, the king drags Cain away for a man-to-man talk. The next day, nobles gather to play the new board game with Cain. He wonders if surviving was actually a mistake. After finally escaping the capital, Cain arrives at his newly gifted mansion, only to find it abandoned and falling apart. Using magic, he repairs and cleans the entire estate in moments,
simple repair.
restoring it to perfect condition. As everything settles, Sylvia finally arrives at the mansion. Cain's new life is officially beginning. Sylvia is overjoyed when she learns she will serve as Cain's personal head maid. She immediately orders everyone to begin cleaning, but the maids quickly realize something strange. There isn't a single speck of dust. Cain casually explains that he cleaned the entire mansion using magic. The staff is stunned, while everyone else somehow just accepts it like this is normal now. As preparations continue, Cain is reminded that his older brothers are returning home today. Back at Garm's estate, his brothers congratulate him on owning a mansion before any of them and proudly call him their little brother. Cain brings his family to see the mansion. Garm is confused because he remembers the place being a ruined mess. Cain admits he remodeled it with a little magic. Sarah is proud, while Garm silently wonders what kind of monster he raised. During the tour, Garm mentions that noble homes usually display wealth through decorations like paintings, statues, or monster trophies. Cain smiles and says he has the perfect idea. He disappears for a moment. Suddenly, Sylvia screams. A massive red dragon is now mounted inside the mansion. The maids panic. Garm asks Cain why there is a dragon in his house. Cain calmly explains that he defeated it himself. Garm freezes. A mounted red dragon is worth an absurd amount of money. Cain realizes it's basically priceless. Everyone slowly accepts it. Later, Sarah discovers the bathroom. After using the toilet, she experiences something life-changing. Garm laughs it off, until he tries it himself. A few seconds later, he comes out a completely changed man. Cain learns that owning a mansion means holding a debut party and inviting nobles. Garm doesn't want the headache, but the butler, Colin, already prepared a guest list. Cain notices Cornego's name and immediately regrets existence. The king isn't on the list, since only higher-ranked nobles can invite royalty. Cain starts stressing about gifts and hospitality. Sylvia suggests Cain create his own unique offerings. Inspired, Cain creates glass cups using magic,
I'll make enough for all the guests. I hope they're...
introduces hamburgers as food, and prepares carbonated wine. Sylvia tastes everything and instantly becomes a fan, especially the drinks. Maybe too much of a fan. Before the party, Cain is summoned by the king, who is furious about not receiving an invitation. Cain explains he planned to personally deliver it. The king instantly changes moods and proudly shows it off to others. The debut party begins. Nobles arrive, amazed by the mansion, especially the dragon display. Cain welcomes everyone and gives a short speech, thanking them for coming. He offers a toast, and guests begin tasting the drinks. They are blown away. The glasses look like treasures. The drinks fizz beautifully. The food is unlike anything they've ever tasted, and Cain finally feels proud of his efforts. Then trouble arrives. Cornego storms in, insulting the mansion. He sees the dragon and panics, pretending he wasn't scared. He mocks the food and drinks, while consuming all of it without stopping. Everyone notices his behavior and grows uncomfortable. Cornego demands Cain give him the glassware and recipes. Cain politely refuses, explaining their gifts for everyone. Cornego explodes in anger. Cain apologizes and claims he has something even greater to offer, the largest treasure in the kingdom. Before Cornego can react, the king steps in. The king scolds Cornego harshly, reminding him that Cain saved the princess and deserves respect. Threatened with punishment, Cornego quickly changes his tone and flees the party. Silk later tells Cain she knows he planned everything perfectly. Even the Duke realizes what happened. A week later, as Cain walks through the city, he is approached by Captain Dime, sent by the Prime Minister. He leads Cain to a storage room filled with monster materials. Cain looks around the storage room and immediately says it's far too small. Captain Dime is confused, wondering if all the monsters Cain carries are as large as the red dragon in his mansion. Cain calmly explains that it's nothing like that. Cain then releases the monster materials from his item box. Rare creatures fill the area, and Dime can only stare in disbelief. He nervously asks if Cain is some kind of hero or a disciple of the gods. Cain panics, quickly says goodbye, and tries to escape. Too late. Dime asks if Cain would like to train with the knights and meet their commander. Cain realizes he's walked straight into trouble again. This is how it started. Dime introduces Cain to the soldiers and announces they'll be sparring with him. One knight hesitates, unsure if it's right to fight a 10-year-old. Dime suggests he fight Cain first. The soldier allows Cain to strike first. Cain activates a speed boost, disappears, and defeats him in a single slash. The match ends before it even begins. Cain politely thanks him and tries to leave, but Dime suggests something worse. All of you at once. Moments later, the entire unit surrounds Cain. Just before things get ugly, a powerful voice orders everyone to stop. Their commander steps forward, an elf woman with an overwhelming presence. She demands to know why the entire army is bullying a child and hugs Cain to calm him down. Cain is too distracted by the fact that she's an elf to respond properly. Dime explains that Cain is the boy who defeated 30 orcs alone and saved the princess. Understanding dawns on her face, and excitement replaces it. She challenges Cain to a duel. The soldiers silently wish Cain a peaceful afterlife. The commander draws a real sword, saying it makes things more interesting. She rushes him with incredible speed. Cain blocks, parries, and struggles to keep up as she enhances her body with magic. Their blades clash repeatedly, stunning the soldiers. Cain tries to find an opening, but her defense is flawless. Finally, he activates a time boost skill, vanishes, and reappears behind her, sword at her throat. Cain declares the duel over. The commander, however, looks thrilled. She hugs Cain tightly and announces that she's going to marry him. Cain reminds her they've known each other for less than 10 minutes. She agrees, and then introduces herself anyway. Her name is Tiana, daughter of a duke and commander of the kingdom's army. She explains that elves live for hundreds of years, so age isn't a problem. Cain immediately runs away. Tiana casually adds that her family won't let her return home without a spouse. Cain begs Dime to help him. Tiana regains her composure and announces she's going to speak with the king. Cain realizes this is about to get much worse. Inside the castle, the king listens as Tiana boldly declares she plans to marry Cain. Cain tries to explain the duel in the most unfortunate way possible, making everything sound 10 times worse. The situation escalates further when it's revealed that Tiana isn't just a knight commander, she's essentially an elven princess. The king drops another bombshell. Cain is already engaged. Instead of backing down, Tiana becomes even more determined. The king decides the discussion will continue only after she gets her father's approval. Tiana happily agrees and drags Cain away, promising to strengthen their bond through more training. Meanwhile, the king wonders how Cain defeated the strongest knight in the kingdom. Garm admits he doesn't know the full truth about his own son. Dime recalls Cain panicking when the gods were mentioned, raising suspicion. To test him, the count presents a mythical magic book passed down from the first king. Cain, exhausted from days of training,
Single day since she proposed. I'm so excited.
Is dragged into the king's chamber once again. The king asks him to read the ancient text. Cain opens the book and realizes he understands everything instantly. The king finally understands. The book is written in Japanese, the language of the first king, a man from another world. Cain realizes he can no longer hide the truth. After asking them to keep his secret, Cain reveals that he remembers his past life and comes from the same world as the first king. He explains that the gods reincarnated him and confirms that Garm is truly his father. When Cain reveals his real status, everyone panics. His power far surpasses human limits. The king admits that even royalty should bow before someone chosen by the gods. Cain refuses. He explains that despite his memories, this life is the one he treasures most. In his past life, he lost everything. Cain now has a family, strength, and people who care about him. That's all he really wants. The king, touched by Cain's loyalty, promises to treat him the same as before. Then the door opens. Tiana comes in with her father's permission to marry Cain. Cain groans. It feels like another problem just landed on his plate, and Tiana drags him away before he can argue. The duke tells the king not to worry. Cain hasn't changed and won't change. The king agrees, trusting Cain completely. Before everyone leaves, the king orders that this conversation stay a secret. He only wants Cain to protect the kingdom, his family, his close friends, and anyone in danger in the future. Years pass, and Cain finds a book left by Yuya. One line stands out. It says anyone who can read this is from Japan. The book tells Yuya's whole life, including how he died in a truck accident. Unlike Cain, Yuya wasn't reborn but summoned directly into this world. While Cain is reading, Silk and Telly's walk in. They think he's studying for exams and ask to study together, but Cain refuses. He says he's busy and can't be distracted. They ask about tomorrow, but Cain just runs off. As he rushes down the hall, chaos strikes again. The third resident lunatic, the super energetic girl, charges at him asking for training. Cain refuses and keeps running, apologizing to everyone he passes. Today is special. It's his 12th birthday and the day he finally registers as an adventurer. At the guild, Cain bumps into a red-haired man who warns him to be careful because you only get one life. Cain thinks he's seen him before but shrugs it off and heads to the counter. The receptionist asks if he wants to register. Cain fills out the form, hiding his barren status. After a quick blood magic test, he gets his G-rank adventurer card. He wonders how his tutors, who were much higher rank, are doing. The receptionist introduces herself as Rita. Suddenly, 3 loud troublemakers show up. Their leader tries to kick Cain but slips and falls. His 2 friends crash into each other and lose immediately. The leader reaches for his sword, but Cain tells him to wait. Then the red-haired man steps in. It's Claude. He says he'll fight the leader all night if needed. The bullies panic and run away. Cain thanks Claude, who laughs and says Cain could have handled them alone. Claude invites Cain for a drink, but since Cain is 12, he gets fruit juice instead. Cain casually says he trained with tutors since childhood. Claude freezes. It sounds familiar. He introduces his party, Ice Flame. Claude uses a flame sword, and his wife Lena uses ice magic. They trust each other completely, take high-level quests, and level up fast. Claude's gold card is A rank, but he says it's nothing compared to the first king, who was triple S rank. A wand bonks Claude on the head. Lena peers, asking why he's drinking. She introduces herself and promises to protect Cain. Claude jokes Cain would have fought anyone anyway, and Lena drags Claude away by the ear. Poor guy, a true married adventurer. Cain looks for his first G-rank quest. Transporting items is easy but boring. He spots a quest to defeat goblins with unlimited rewards. His eyes light up, and he accepts it instantly. Tiana catches him outside and asks where he's been. Cain says it's his first adventure. Tiana immediately joins him, dragging him along. History repeats itself. In the forest, Tiana is excited and keeps pulling Cain deeper into the trees. Cain uses his search skill and spots goblins. Tiana rushes forward, and they save a civilian just in time. Cain heals the man while Tiana fights the goblins. More enemies appear, so Cain boosts her strength with magic. Tiana charges in like a storm, defeating them all. Cain wonders why everyone around him is so crazy. Then, green lizards appear. Cain tells Tiana to take the civilian away. She obeys. Cain casts light magic and an ice pillar, defeating all the lizards in seconds. Later, other adventurers find a giant crater instead of monsters. One feels intense déjà vu and fear. Back at the guild, Cain reports the lizards are defeated. Rita is confused. It's usually a C-rank job. Cain says he killed about 30 of them. Rita panics and tells the chief, Cedric. Cedric accuses Cain of cheating since he's just a kid, a G-rank, and a commoner. Cain calmly explains he did it normally. Cedric explodes and threatens to revoke Cain's guild card.
Use of authority!
Quiet, woman! Cheat!
The guild master arrives and says Cedric still has a lot to learn. Tiana bursts in, loudly greeting her husband. Cain panics. He wanted to keep the engagement secret. The guild master reveals Cain is a baron, saved the princess and Silk, and is Margrave Garm's son. Cedric immediately bows. Tiana warns that insulting a noble can lead to execution. Cain stops her, accepts the apology, and asks Cedric to think before accusing others. The guild master happily accepts Cain's monster kills. Cain's first day as an adventurer ends with chaos and a crater. Cedric promises to raise Cain's rank as an apology, but Tiana says it's too low, remembering how Cain defeated a red dragon and beat her in duels. Even Cedric admits Cain deserves S rank. He orders Rita and Cedric to handle all paperwork and apologizes for the guild's rudeness. He thanks Cain for putting up with Tiana, who strong-armed him into the marriage. Tiana proudly says they've already completed their first joint task of love. Cain groans internally, fearing misunderstandings, but her brother sees the truth and understands her quirks. Cain feels quietly relieved he isn't the only sane one. Meanwhile, the gods notice Cain. The god of magic wonders why Xenim doubled Cain's protections. Zenom explains Cain must grow stronger. Aaron's seal is weakening, and when it breaks, the world will be in danger. Cain must train harder under a mysterious master. The next day, Cain oversleeps for his academy exam. Sylvia panics for not waking him early enough and offers homemade milk for breakfast. Cain dashes away, promising to drink it later. Cain teleports to the exam site and notices Silk and Tellys aren't there. The written test begins. It's supposed to take 2 hours, but with his knowledge from another world, Cain finishes in 30 minutes and naps for the rest of the time. Next is the field magic test. Students must cast their strongest spells at targets inside a safety barrier. Everyone shoots simple fireballs, but Cain can't use his ultimate inferno. Instead, he casts a small blue fireball, but it's powerful enough to destroy the entire field for kilometers. The teacher rushes to make sure no one is hurt and orders the swordsmanship test to begin. At the new field, Cain notices Claude among the examiners. Claude smirks, pretending he's just assessing Cain's skills. Cain activates his boost skill and charges. They clash violently.
Boost!
If you can already...
Cain blocks every strike while Claude holds back, knowing he could easily hurt the other students. Even so, Cain manages the boosted strikes carefully, trying not to injure anyone. The teacher yells at them. They've scared the other students. Claude laughs and promises a proper duel later. The exam is officially over, and Cain can return only for results. At home, Sylvia asks if he's ready for milk. Cain pretends to be too tired. Sylvia doesn't believe him and storms off crying, at least for now. Inside the castle, the king asks Cain what he's done. Cain snaps, complaining about the king's presence. The king sighs and asks where Cain even took the exam. Cain explains he used the south gate for commoners because Silk and Tellys weren't there. The king face palms. There are 2 entrances, you moron. When the Duke hears about the field destruction, he laughs. Cain worries about the repair bill. The king groans and tells him to leave. On exam results day, Cain searches for his ranking and can't find it. Silk runs up, congratulating him. He's top of the class. She jokes about wanting him to destroy her area too, hugging him and congratulating him for giving the top student speech. Meanwhile, Sylvia worries if anyone will want her milk again. Cain dodges her question, groaning internally. She vows to make the best milk that night. During the ceremony, Cain waves to the best mommy milkers in the kingdom and asks Silk and Tellys to study with him for years. All the girls swoon. The boys are jealous. Cain admits he took the wrong entrance but spins it cleverly. Everyone, no matter their bloodline, deserves a chance to learn. The current king tries to bully Cain, but Cain already turned the tables. The Duke and the girls watch, satisfied. The first class begins, but Cain is late after crying in the bathroom for an hour. The teacher tells students to think about their future. Cain imagines being a free adventurer, and the girls want to join him. Tellys wants to study internal affairs to manage his kingdom. Silk wants commerce for his domain. Cain groans, it feels like a slave harem. After class, Cain sees Parma bullied by Habit and his lackeys for being a commoner. Cain, now a baron, defends her and tells them to treat everyone equally. Habit worries Cain will ruin his family, but Silk and Tellys force them to apologize and flee. Cain apologizes to Parma and wants to pet her cat ears, but Silk makes him sit properly. Cain listens to the girls' whispers, wondering about a divorce, when a voice invites him for a chat. Cain enters the library and is teleported to another dimension. A mysterious man offers coffee and introduces himself as Yuya, the first king and god of creation. Cain recalls reading about him and confirms his title. Yuya says the gods want Cain trained. Cain feels strong already, so Yuya challenges him to steal a cookie, but draws his sword when Cain moves. Yuya explains that 300 years ago, the evil god Aaron spread distrust to make the world fight itself and was sealed away. The seal is weakening, and Cain must stop him. Yuya teleports Cain to the middle of the ocean with only a compass pointing home. Cain must reach level 600 to face Aaron. Currently at level 300, Cain worries about school, but Yuya says a year here equals a day there. Cain rushes into the forest, defeating a serpent and a giant bear in minutes, and kills countless S-rank beasts. He finds a badly injured puppy and, remembering the girl's sad faces, heals it instead of killing it, using all his mana and passing out. Hours later, the puppy defends Kane while he sleeps. He names it Haku, his first true companion. Years pass, and Kane finally reaches Yuya's mansion after 4 years. Yuya is surprised at Kane's growth and introduces a legendary holy beast, Fenrir, which Kane can summon after earning its trust. Yuya says Kane will now train under Darren. Kane wants to learn about Eren and his past life. Darren shows Kane he isn't strong enough yet. Yuya is stronger, and Eren even more so. Kane attacks, but Darren evades and knocks him out. Kane wakes in a strange room, where Haku licks him. Going downstairs, he meets a hot elf girl named Rory, who promises him food. A baby dragon sneezes, and Kane rushes to it, but Haku jumps on him. Rory serves a meal, which Kane enjoys after years without good food. Darren tells him to eat as much as he wants, and Rory offers elf milk as well. Silk sighs, but Tellys reassures her Kane will be fine. Sylvia pushes them to hurry, warning her milkers might be the only ones Kane experiences if delayed. Rain continues as Kane trains. After months, he finally withstands some hits. A year passes. Kane is still being beaten, but the thought of stopping Eren drives him forward. He recalls when Yuya told him everything. Eren, once the god of amusement, is the 8th god of Xenim's world and an immense threat Kane must eventually face. The gods had asked Kane to create a game because the world had grown dull. Eren had used the oracle to force everyone into deadly games before, and if his seal broke again, it could happen once more. To prevent this, Kane had to grow stronger and fight to protect everyone important to him. Yuya revealed a final truth. Kane had failed to protect his friends in his previous life. The connection to Eren was that the friends Yuya couldn't save were Kane's parents. After they died in an accident, they were reincarnated in this new world and tasked by the gods to bring peace. Kane's mother cast Inferno, but it barely worked. His father and Yuya scratched Eren, but Eren wiped out their forces with one strike. Kane's father sacrificed himself to restrain Eren, and Yuya sealed him. Their last words were apologies to their son. Kane realized his one goal: protect everyone he loved and bring peace. Kane used his overload to defeat Darren, completing his training. He ran to his parents' graves, thankful they had always thought of him, and thanked Yuya for watching over them. Kane's speed surpassed Yuya's, who reminded him it was Kane's effort that mattered. Yuya restored Kane's original form after 5 years and sent him home with Haku. Kane promised to take care of Jin and thanked everyone for protecting him. Yuya also gave him a gift for the current king, the legendary katana that had slain the Black Dragon. Sylvia rushed to offer her homemade milkers, but Kane told her off, only missing Tellys and Silk. The girls were happy to see him and gave him cookies, making him cry with gratitude. The king read Yuya's letter and was shocked but believed Kane. Kane explained his long, grueling training, surviving deadly battles for 5 years. The Duke reminded Kane he needed to accept the quest to reach A rank. The guild master explained the requirement: 10 bandits along the route from Gracia to the royal capital. Kane promised to handle it. In the forest, Kane flew to scout and saw a carriage under attack by bandits. He healed Millie, who was gravely injured. The bandits laughed, thinking a kid couldn't stop them, but Kane activated his boost ability and defeated them all with his new katana. Sabinos and Millie were shocked he could handle a C-rank quest so easily. Showing his adventurer card, the girls were surprised to see he was already a higher rank than them. Driving the carriage back, the townspeople were disgusted at the bandits' behavior. When they arrived at Sabino's home, Parma was amazed that Kane saved them. Millie worried about treating him differently as a baron, while Na thought he was every gold digger's dream. Kane assured them to treat him normally, and Millie was glad he hadn't changed. At the guild, Kane handed Rita proof of the bandit subjugation. One bandit collapsed at his aura. Claude arrived, congratulating Kane, who said he did it to protect his friends, the same tutors who had trained him since age 5. Claude celebrated with juice. Millie told the story of how Kane saved them. Na had reached A rank already, and Claude was shocked Kane had caught up so fast. Millie and Nina realized it made sense. Cain was a baron and incredibly talented. Claude begged Cain not to charge him for past rudeness. Cain calmed everyone down. Millie wondered how he became so strong. Cain couldn't tell her he was trained by the gods, but she assumed it made sense. After all, he had killed a red dragon as a child. Claude suspected Cain might be cheating, but Millie and Na showed off their magic bags. Rena was amazed at their size and begged Cain to make one for her. She passed out, and Claude reassured her she wouldn't remember it tomorrow. Cain panicked, realizing he had school tomorrow after missing the last week. Dina offered a hug, but Cain ran away. Claude thought Cain was destined for a computer science major. Rita needed a substitute teacher for the next day's adventure class. Claude immediately saw an opportunity. The next day, students were told to cast magic at targets. Cain prepared to show off, but the teacher forbade him from using magic, warning that even beginner spells could destroy the barriers. Claude's group noticed Cain struggling to fit in and decided to help him. The teacher introduced the adventurers helping the students, instantly recognized by everyone. Claude asked how many students were already adventurers and told them to show their guild cards. Cain realized he was in trouble. He had left his card at home. Claude whispered for him to produce it, but Cain hesitated, not wanting to make others feel bad since he already had a gold card. All eyes turned on him. He mumbled that he forgot it. Claude shook his head, disappointed, but told him never to forget again. Millie noticed the stares, and Rena muttered that Cain must be a computer science major. Later, at the training manor, Claude announced they would learn to use Boost. Students volunteered first, and Cain, seeing a long line, realized he was last. It was part of their plan. They wanted to show off their strength so all the students would be impressed. When it was Cain's turn, he clashed swords with Claude. The bell rang to end class before Cain could finish, and he begged for extra time. The teacher refused. Claude apologized and promised a rematch, but the teacher said there wouldn't be another. Cain had already unlocked a new type of milkers. That night, Cain vented by blowing up trees. A giant dragon appeared, but Cain slashed it with one blow. A massive boulder blocked his path, so he unleashed hundreds of fireballs, scorching the ground. Guards feared the god of destruction had arrived, and Garm led the army toward the crater. Cain calmed himself and teleported away. Garm reached the site, saw Cain's emblem, and realized the forest had been scorched again. Back in the king's room, Cain explained, but the king, tired of his antics, demanded he spit it out. Cain panicked. Far away, a goblin spotted an orb but was devoured by a dragon. The seal had weakened, and even a fragment of Aaron's body could matter. At school, the teacher announced they would learn summoning magic. Cain wanted to skip, but she allowed him to stay since no attack magic would be used. She introduced the specialist, Palace Mage Grat, who explained two types of summoning: bonding with a monster to form a contract or summoning from a magical sigil. Students summoned familiars. One student's beast rejected him, thinking he was stealing its mushroom haircut. Grat reassured him, though it caused some emotional damage. Finally, it was Cain's turn. He asked if he could pour all his power into the summoning. Grat agreed. Cain activated the sigil with all his mana. A blue light glowed, and a strange horned man appeared. Cain wondered if this was the Prince of Darkness. The horned man cast a red flicker at Cain, revealing his status. Cain drew his sword, but the prince immediately knelt and apologized, offering to serve Cain. He pledged to form a summoning contract and even destroy nations if Cain wished. Cain only wanted his mommy milkers safe. No demon clan needed. The Prince of Darkness, named Seth, admired Cain's simplicity and agreed to serve him anytime. Cain, embarrassed by being called Chosen One, begged Seth to stop. Seth, shocked by Cain's humility, promised to follow any command. Grat wondered if he'd just witnessed the Prince of Darkness, but Cain said Seth was too powerful for a regular contract, so they went along with it. Cain was back in the king's room for the 69th time. The king, tired of being roasted, asked what Cain had summoned. Cain revealed a demon. The king sighed but demanded the truth. Cain confessed he had summoned the Prince of Darkness and formed a contract. The room panicked. The king realized Cain could destroy nations, especially alongside his daughter. Cain apologized. He hadn't meant for her to call him Daddy. Grat wondered how Cain dared speak to the king this way. The king asked Cain to show his status window. Cain revealed his stats. Everyone screamed. He had gained the demigod title, and his status was now immeasurable. Grat bowed, promising to roast the king alongside him, but Cain said he could handle it alone. Everyone considered calling him Master, and the king realized Cain could destroy the world. Cain told them to relax and treat him normally. Cain announced he would give a town to Grat, reasoning that someone who couldn't protect a town couldn't protect a kingdom. Sylvia, thrilled, promised to give Cain the best milkers he'd wanted. The butler warned that Gar's town was about to be attacked by monsters from the Forest of Monsters. Residents prepared to evacuate. Cain met his brother Jin, who explained that monster activity had increased, some nearly as strong as those that attacked the city a decade ago. A party had been sent but couldn't determine if it was a full assault or minor increase. Knights couldn't be deployed fully, so they were cautious. Cain volunteered to enter the forest himself. Jin thought he was too young, but Cain flashed his adventurer card, reminding him he had defeated a red dragon alone. Reassured, Jin agreed, but Cain decided to visit the guild first. At the guild, the receptionist screamed seeing his rank. Rudy apologized for Cain's rookie rudeness and explained that adventurers were returning injured from the forest. Millie and Nina arrived, and Cain was glad to see them. Na explained they had been called to assemble a strong party. Cain pretended to be sad to get a better angle, while Millie said her brother and his wife would join soon. Cain planned to investigate alone, but Rudy begged him to bring companions. He summoned his two pets, who started licking him but remembered they were actually teeters. Cain felt an ominous presence while fighting monsters. He summoned Seth, who knelt and was ready to serve. Cain asked Seth to investigate the forest, sensing something strange. Seth immediately sensed an overwhelming presence and massive number of monsters. To learn more, Seth requested to summon a subordinate. Dalmia appeared, one of the 4 heavenly kings, specializing in investigations. Seth opened a pit of cockroaches to search, terrifying Cain, who begged him to close it. Dalmia released the cockroaches nearby and located many monsters, which Cain destroyed with a single strike. Dalmia, shocked, feared the power of God's chosen. Cain teleported back to town, where Millie and Na were amazed by the A and S rank monsters he had defeated. Claude appeared, wondering where they had found them. Cain explained that stronger monsters were deeper in the forest. Dalmia's scouts had located a powerful presence trying to intimidate them, but Seth refused to let them be threatened and told Dalmia to treat it as training to keep muscles sharp. Suddenly, Aaron appeared, releasing monsters to attack humans. Thousands surged toward the town. Seth teleported to Cain, who instructed Rudy to alert everyone and Claude to gather adventurers to defend the town. Rudy protested, but Cain reminded her he had friends stronger than A-rank adventurers. Seth, shocked to have a friend in Cain, pledged his life to assist him. They ran toward the forest, but Tana jumped in, worried about the onslaught. Cain told her to stay and protect the town. Seth wondered why Cain wasn't teleporting. Cain explained that no one else in the nation could, and asked Seth to show restraint. Meanwhile, Dalmia destroyed dragons single-handedly. Cain unleashed multiple infernos on the monsters, sensing an overwhelming presence at the forest center. Aaron declared he was waiting for the followers of the old Gyres and that the game had begun. Monsters rampaged, but Seth assured Cain he would handle them while Cain confronted Aaron. Cain flew above the battlefield, destroying swarms of monsters with Inferno. Massive purple blasts nearly hit him, but he countered each one. Finally, he saw the black dragon, Aaron, the former god of amusement. Aaron lamented that only part of him had returned and unleashed more monsters, treating it as a game to see how long Cain's friends could survive. Claude noticed people floating in the air. His wife realized they were Cain's powerful allies. Na deduced they were likely his friends. The heavenly kings struggled under the attacks, but Seth encouraged them, helping humans hold on. Nina used her search ability to spot humans about to be surrounded, prompting Millie and her brother to leap forward against the beasts. Cain faced Aaron directly. The god of amusement, angry at Cain's familiar eyes, unleashed a massive dragon breath. Cain narrowly dodged. Aaron struck again, but Cain countered with Inferno, though it barely affected him. Cain's friends began to falter. Cain summoned Haku and Jin to assist. They dodged most attacks, but Aaron's tail knocked Haku unconscious. A lethal strike approached, but Cain intercepted, shouting that these were his friends, and if you love someone, you protect them. Driven by his will, not divine power, Cain activated his overload and unleashed Saint's Sanctuary, channeling all his magic and calling on his parents' strength.
What is that?
Haku and Jin tried to restrain him, and Seth and Dalmia feared the destruction, but Cain persisted. Finally, the forest was cleared. Monsters were gone. Cain's friends embraced him. Tana rushed over, and Millie clung closely. Dalmia called Cain a remarkable God's chosen. Back at the king's room, the exhausted king tried to roast him, complaining about a pillar of light visible from the castle. Cain explained it was his royal-level magic piercing Aaron. When the king argued, Cain reminded him that his daughter knew her real father. Defeated, the king admitted Cain was marrying his daughter. The count suggested giving Cain a domain, and the king agreed. Cain humbly accepted Dorth, a corrupt town with a mismanaged adventurers' guild. Telly's worried, but Cain was excited to rebuild it and make the town happy. Entering the city, guards recognized Cain's high rank. The guild hosted a welcome party, but Cain cleared it instantly with his fire powers. When he saw men mistreating a catgirl, he demonstrated his strength, kicking them away. Seth arrived, screaming about his cheating wife, but Cain's world moved forward.
Later. For now, tell me just one thing.
Oh my, an unparalleled beauty! I could fly.
Cain subdued a cult, built a massive wall around Dorth, and Tiana and the girls marveled at his new castle, bigger than the king's. Cain knew it was necessary. He had been reincarnated with all his memories and unmatched protection, and he wanted to create a world where everyone could smile. Sylvia was still annoyed about not giving him milkers, but Cain smiled and apologized. Thus, the story paused with Cain at the peak of his power, his friends at his side, and a new domain ready to be rebuilt. The stage was set for the next